Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Baiju's Exam Prep IAS. This is Sham Kagudia. Now, before I start the discussion, if there is no issue with the sound, can you please give me a thumbs up? Do let me know so that I can start the discussion. Done? Okay. Thanks. So, today is the first class for Indian economy for you, the weekend batch. So, we'll be starting with the basics today. But before that, certain very important announcement. I believe modern Indian classes have been finished with you people yesterday, which was taken up by Rohit sir. A feedback form has been sent to you. Please ensure that you will provide your honest feedback to us. Then, with that caveat, with that announcement, let me start the discussion. So, today is the first class. We're going to discuss the concepts, or let's say the chapters in the Indian economy. But before starting the discussion, I just want you to have a glimpse or have a look at the syllabus as well as the preparation strategy that you must follow. Now, why should you read Indian economy? Why should you attend these classes? Be very serious with these classes and read Indian economy for UPSC Civil Services examination. Here is a reminder to you. If you just check what has been the number of questions which have been asked in UPSC, that is preliminary examination as well as mains examination, you will realize that on an average around 14 to 15 questions. Please do not by heart this chart. It is not relevant. It is not important. UPSC is not going to ask this. The importance is that on an average around 14 to 15 questions from Indian economy will be coming in the civil services preliminary examination. And what about the mains examination? Around 6 to 7 questions. Recent times the number of questions have increased. Around 6 to 7 questions will come from Indian economy. This is mains. Right side graph is for mains and the left side graph is for preliminary examination. Okay. Now, should you remember this number? Absolutely no. Please do not by heart. Just because it is there in the slide, just because I've given it in the slide, do not start by hearting everything that is there in the slide. Just for sake of information, around 15 questions in the prelims and around 6 to 7 questions in the mains, which simply means huge amount of weightage has been provided by UPSC for this subject of Indian economy. That is very, very clear to us. Even this year, around 15 plus questions have come from Indian economy itself. Now, many of you look at this graph and you think that, or you basically target 100% of the questions you should be able to solve in the UPSC examination. Here is one advice. First advice from my side to you people. In case of the Indian economy, or let's say economics, which is going to come for UPSC, especially for prelims, do not target all the 100% of the questions. Again, I'm talking about only Indian economy. Your argument should not be, sir, I want to solve all the 15 questions, all the 18 questions in civil services preliminary examination. The reason is very simple. Out of, let's say, 15 questions which are asked, pretty sure, there'll be around 2 to 3 questions which will be very, very difficult. I'll repeat my statement. Out of, let's say, 15 questions on an average, which is asked by UPSC from Indian economy in the preliminary examination, around 2 to 3 questions will be in such a way that these will be very, very difficult. Very difficult in the sense you could have read 10 books on Indian economy. In none of the books that concept will be discussed. And that is the trend of UPSC. Do not worry about it. That's a trend of UPSC. If you ask me, then what is the good score for Indian economy? Then I would simply say, if 15 questions are asked and if you're able to solve 10 questions correctly, that's a very, very, very good score for Indian economy. Right? I know some of you will disagree with me. Some of you will simply say, no, sir, out of 15, I want to score 15. Very good. Right? Target is very good. But if you look at the trend of UPSC, you will realize that there will be certain questions where you will simply see that these questions are out of syllabus. Out of syllabus in the sense, UPSC also does not define syllabus, right? And here itself, this is my second advice to you people. Please have a glance of the syllabus in the GS paper 3. And basically you will see this is a list of the topics which is provided. In fact, we'll go beyond what is the listing provided by UPSC. These are the 20 plus topics that we'll be covering in the next 5 weekends. Okay, these are the list of the topics. Do not worry, do not start asking questions in these topics. Individually, we will take each one of them. For example, I'm pretty sure many of you are very eager to ask me questions about tomato prices. Many of you are very eager to ask me questions about, let's say, rupee trade, etc., etc. All of that we'll discuss as and when we are discussing individual topics. So this is a list of the topics. We are going to cover GDP, we are going to cover inflation, fiscal policy, monetary policy, other roles and functions of Reserve Bank of India, right? We'll discuss what is the exchange rate, what is international trade, right, etc., etc. Agriculture sector, infrastructure, investment, right? This is the a very very elaborative, okay, elaborative list of topics that we are going to cover in the next 5 weekends. Now, do not by heart the list. Please do not by heart the list. Many of you have this tendency of by hearting everything that is there in the PPT. Please do not by heart it. Why? Individually, we'll cover all of these topics, right? We'll cover all of these topics. Now, what should be your references? This is the list of the topics. What should be your strategy for preparation? This is the simple strategy I'll recommend. Again, this is my recommendation to you people, at least for Indian economy. What should be the strategy? Point number one, listen to the lecture very, very carefully. Listen to the lecture very carefully. Do not keep on moving from WhatsApp to lecture, lecture to WhatsApp, WhatsApp to cricket match, then Ashes series. No. Just listen to the lecture very, very carefully, because economics as a subject is interesting. And for many of you, very new, very technical. You will feel economics is very difficult because your background is something else. Do not worry about anything else. Focus on the discussion. Listen to the discussion very carefully. Point number two, once you have heard to the discussion, consolidate from the static sources. Whatever static sources you want to use it, consolidate with the static sources. What do you mean by static source here? One book. Just use only one book. Again, this is my recommendation to you. One book, more than sufficient. Do not read 10 books to consolidate your concepts. For example, we'll discuss a concept today called as GDP. Again, don't worry about GDP. We'll discuss it. We'll discuss about a concept called as GDP. Now, you can read 10 books regarding GDP, but trust me when I say this, all the books will give you the same concepts. That's it. Every book will tell you GDP is nothing but gross domestic product. There are three methods to calculate. This is the first method, this is the second method, etc., etc. So rather than reading the same thing 10 times in 10 books, read only one book, more than sufficient. That should take care of your static information. I hope you understand. That should take care of your static, right, portion. Now, once you are done with the static portion, what about the current affairs? Because if you know, if you have seen the previous year question papers, you will know that a lot of questions from Indian economy will come from current affairs. So what should I do for current affairs? In that case, this is my recommendation to you. For current affairs, you should read newspapers. Do not miss it. Read newspapers. And if you're listening to right now very carefully, I'm not saying newspaper, I'm saying newspapers. What do you mean by newspapers? Not singular, plural. Now, newspapers, what I would recommend is, because most of you read Hindu newspaper, please do that. Don't worry. Most of you read Hindu newspaper, continue with that. If someone in the class says, sir, I find Hindu newspaper very difficult to comprehend, very difficult to understand, in that case, I would recommend Indian Express. I would simply recommend Indian Express, right? Either read Hindu newspaper or Indian Express. In addition to this national daily, I would recommend one business newspaper. I would simply recommend one business newspaper. This is my recommendation to you because the argument is very simple. If you read Hindu or Indian Express, no doubt they will cover certain part of business news. No doubt. They will cover certain articles which are relevant for Indian economy. But my grievance, my concern is simple. They do not cover every article that is relevant or important for UPSC. That is the precise reason. Read Hindu or Indian Express. In addition to that, my recommendation is read one more additional business newspaper. It could be Business Line, it could be Economic Times, it could be right Business Standard, it could be Mint, it could be anything. Right? Read one additional business newspaper because a lot of, let's say, economy related articles are not covered in Hindu or Indian Express. Right? In addition to that, keep consolidating. So my funda is very simple here. Your preparation strategy should be listen to the lecture very carefully, then add to that or consolidate that with static source as well as current affairs. Fourth one, revision. Fourth one, which is the most important one, is the revision. Many of you keep on making notes without revising them. I hope you understand the problem now. You keep on making notes without revising. And if you don't revise, what you have studied in the first class, you'll not remember in the second class. What you have studied in the second class, you'll not remember in the next year, May. So what you should do then? Keep on revising. Keep on revising. Make short notes, make mind maps, keep on revising every now and then. And the fifth one, solving previous year questions or solving as many question papers as possible. That's it. Any difficulty in any of the points? Do let me know. Okay, right? I've given the point numbers. Any difficulty in any of the points, please do let me know. So fifth one will be solving previous year questions as well as solving as many question papers as possible. That's it. Please take care of these particular 5 points. Then after 2 months or 3 months, let me know how is the preparation going on. But please do not miss out on any points. Static, right? Dynamic, that is a current affairs. I've given you two sources, one Hindu newspaper or Indian Express plus one business newspaper. Keep on revising, and please understand, many of you are asking, sir, after how many days should I revise? That answer I cannot give. I hope you understand, everybody's recollection capacity is different. For example, you might realize that, okay, I do not remember anything after 7 days, after 15 days. Then basically after 7 days is your revision time. After 15 days is your revision time. So from one student to another student, the time period of recollection will vary. I cannot simply say you will have to revise after 7 days. For many of you who are able to recollect most of the things even after 1 month, if you revise after 7 days, there is no point. You're simply wasting your time. I hope you understand. So, point number one, listen to the lecture very carefully. Static, that is, whatever is there in the book, any book that you have, please use that one book. And this one book, I believe you already have received the book. If not, don't worry, the books will be given to you. Don't worry, you will get the books. Right? Many of you are asking, sir, book X, I have this. Is it sufficient? More than sufficient. Sir, I have Y book. Is it sufficient? More than sufficient. Sir, I have Z book. Is it sufficient? More than sufficient. Because again, I'll repeat the point. Use only one book. Do not read 10 books. Do not read 15 books for static information. It's a simple waste of your time. Simple waste of your time. Use only one book. If you say, sir, but I want to read more on Indian economy, but you're asking me to read only one book. No, I'm not happy. I want to read more books. In that case, right, there are many magazines for current affairs. Yojana is there. Kurukshetra magazine is there, which you must read. In fact, if you people are attending the webinars, many of you are saying that, sir, current affairs, how do we read current affairs for Indian economy? Weekly webinars are there, right? Webinars, we are going to cover current affairs there. Hindu news analysis is done. There also current affairs is going to be covered. We are providing monthly magazine for you. There also current affairs is going to be covered. So you should not be worried about sources. You should be worried about how much do I read, from where do I read. That would be my recommendation to you people. Done? Right. So these are the 5 points. Please go through the 5 points once more after the class is over. Then make your study plan accordingly. Just for your sake, right, I've given the list also here. Use institution books as well as the tablet for revision, consolidation of the current affairs. If your fundamentals are very weak, right, many of the students come to me and say, sir, this is the first time I'm reading economics. The term economics, I'm hearing it for the first time. My fundamentals, my basics are very, very weak. I don't know anything in economics and I'm afraid of economics. For those students, what I would recommend is start with NCERT books. Start with NCERT books, right? Class 12th, class 11th, 10th, and 9th. These are the 4 books. And trust me, these are not very big books. They don't have 500 pages, 1000 pages, nothing of that sort, right? 80 pages, 100 pages. These are the number of pages which are present in these books. Use these books to build your basics, consolidate your basics. Done? So NCERT books, one static book, and current affairs, revision, and basically solving the question papers. Right? So this is basically the strategy that I would recommend to you people, right, to use for preparation strategy for Indian economics. Done? So let me start. Let me start. Any questions? Is it necessary to study newspaper even if I listen to the webinar and Hindu news analysis? If you want to attend it, attend it. Please understand there are multiple ways, right? Some people say, sir, I listen to the Hindu newspaper analysis, but even then I'm not confident. Then attend the webinar. Magazine is given to you. Consolidate that, right? It depends from one student to another student. That's the reason. Many of you ask me these kind of questions. There is no uniform answer. I hope you understand my point. I cannot simply say, for example, I cannot simply tell you all to read NCERT book compulsorily. How can I do that? And I'll tell you the reason. I cannot say I cannot ask you to read NCERT books compulsorily because I'm pretty sure many of the students already are from economics background. They have done MCom, they might have done BCom, they might have done BBA, MBA, whatever the background is. What if you have already studied the basics of economics? Can I simply say you must read NCERT books? If you don't read NCERT books, you will fail UPSC exam. No, I cannot do that, my dear. That's the reason there is no uniform answer to that. You know what is the level of preparation. You know what is your recollection memory power. You know whether you are able to understand the newspaper very easily, right, or very, very tough. You know your preparation level. And based on that, you decide, sir, only this much sufficient for me. I will read a monthly magazine, sufficient for me. I will read a Hindu newspaper plus that newspaper every day, that is sufficient for me. So based on your capability, your capacity, you decide. Okay. So with this caveat, let me start. Right. So today we'll start with the discussion to economics. That is basically starting with the definition of economics. Now, every class or every chapter that I take up, this is basically the practice that we have. I will basically give you the layout. I will give you the layout of the chapter. That is what topics are we are going to cover in the chapter. I will give you the list of topics and thereafter, one after one, we'll keep on covering these concepts. Now, in this chapter, this is a list of the topics we are going to cover. Let's start. What is the definition of economics? Right? What is the definition of economics? What do you mean by the term economics? Now, should you remember the definition? I would recommend you remember. I've given one definition. I'll simplify it. There are thousands of definition of economics. Don't by heart all of them. Not at all necessary for UPSC. Now, one of the most simplest and accepted definition of economics is that it is the science which deals with human behavior in relation to scarce means and ends. I'll give you the explanation. Have patience. It is a science which deals with human behavior in relation to scarce means and ends. Scarce means simply refers to resources. The resources are very scarce. Now, many of you will start typing, sir, what do you mean by resources? Let me ask you a very simple question. I'm holding in my hand a remote control. Can everybody see that? In my hand, I'm holding a remote control. Now, please tell me, do you require anything to manufacture the remote control or not? And please participate. I'm not ordering, I'm asking you. Please participate in the classroom. Will everybody agree when I say you will require certain inputs to manufacture this? You'll require certain inputs to manufacture. Now, this input is nothing but resources. Any input that you require to manufacture, to produce anything, it is called as a resource. I'll give you one more example. You might be watching this class either in the mobile phone or in the tablet or in the laptop. Now, don't you think either to manufacture a mobile, a tablet or a laptop, you'll require certain inputs? These are nothing but resources. Resources could be, let's say, metals. Resources could be a plastic. Resources could be money. Resources could be anything. Human resource is there, technological resource is there, etc., etc., etc. Now, don't you think the resources that we have are limited? Any problem with this? The resources that we have are limited. We do not have unlimited resources. For example, imagine you're manufacturing this remote control. You are manufacturing this remote control. Don't you think the amount of money that you have is limited? Amount of plastic that you can purchase in the market to manufacture this, it is limited. Amount of labor that you can use, that is also limited. But argument is simple. The resources that we have is limited, but we want to earn more and more profit. We want to earn unlimited amount of profit. You want to earn unlimited amount of income. You want to manufacture unlimited amount of goods. Is it possible? Let me know. Is it possible to manufacture unlimited amount of goods using limited resources? Not possible. Can we apply the same logic to government? Look at the example now. Second example. Can we apply the same logic to government? The government of India has a limited amount of money. All of you will agree? Government of India has a limited amount of money. But using that money, they want to construct roads. They want to create employment. They want to provide lot of schemes for the welfare of the people, etc. Now, don't you think the amount of money that the government has is limited, but they want to achieve so many things, which is not possible with limited amount of resources. So now the question is, how do we utilize the limited resources? How do we utilize them? How do we use the limited resources to achieve our goals, to achieve our objectives? The study of that is called as economics. Is it okay? Right? The study of that is referred to as economics. That is basically, it is the study of behavior. It is a study of behavior. It could be your behavior. It could be my behavior. It could be the behavior of the companies. It could be behavior of the government of India. Right? Why are we studying the behavior? Because we want to understand, using limited resources, how are we trying to achieve our objectives? How do we allocate the resources? Right? That is basically the concept of economics. Any problem with this, please do let me know. And remember this, the foundation of economics, the starting point of economics is the fact that the resources that we have are very scarce. There is a shortage of resources. There is a scarcity of resources. Now, if you do not have any scarcity, do you think you will be worried about allocation of resources? Let me know. If you have unlimited amount of resources, unlimited means what? There is no shortage of money for you. Anytime you want, money is available. Anytime you want, right? Let's say labor is available, machines are available, raw materials available, right? Always available, no shortage. Now, will you be worried about how much money you will allocate for, let's say, labor? How much money you will allocate for machines? Of course, no. Can you apply the same logic to Government of India? If Government of India has no shortage of money, anytime they want, they will have money. If that is a situation, do you think Government of India will be worried about anything else except, let's say, construction of roads continuously? Right? Except, let's say, right, providing money to the welfare of the people? No. There are always certain conditions, there are always a scarcity of resources. And because there is a scarcity of resources, we will have to study how we will utilize the resources. And that study is called as economics. And this is a scarcity definition of economics. Done? Right? So this is the definition of economics. I'll give you one more very, very simple example. Because many of you are attending the weekend batch, I presume at least some of you are working. Again, this is my presumption. If not, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So many of you would be working, and by the virtue of you being a worker in a company, will you receive salary on the first of every month or not? Assuming it's a working day. So on the first of every month, you will receive salary. Now, don't you think when you receive salary, the moment you get a message saying that so much amount of salary has been credited to your account, you will feel very happy, invincible. Invincible in the sense, you feel the amount of money that you have received is sufficient for everything. You will start behaving like Ambani's on that day. You will go to party, you will go to movie, right? You will travel in Ola, etc., etc. But after a couple of days, you will realize the money that you have in your bank account is not sufficient to take care of your expenses. So automatically, what will you do? Will you continue with the same lifestyle? Will you continue ordering food from Swiggy? Will you keep on watching a movie in IMAX? No, everything will be cut. Rather than ordering food from Swiggy, you will simply say, I will prepare Maggie in my home. Rather than going to IMAX, you will go to some other theater. Rather than traveling in Ola, you will decide to travel in a metro train, right, or a bullet train, etc. So I hope you understand. What you are doing is you are utilizing the resources because you know resources are limited. Whereas the wants or the needs that you have are unlimited. So how do we allocate the resources? The behavioral study is called as economics. Done? This is the definition. Now, I've spent so much of time defining economics, but UPSC, I don't think so, will ask you the definition of economics. Right? And now, let's start. Economics is divided into two parts, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics and macroeconomics. And many of you are giving me definitions. I know, right? You must have studied in your graduation, etc., etc. Hundreds of definitions are there for economics. I'm only saying hundreds of definitions are there for economics. Don't worry about all of them. Keep it simple. Always keep it simple. So the economics is now divided into two parts, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, what is the basic understanding of microeconomics and macroeconomics? And should you study for UPSC exam, both micro as well as macro? Let me give you the basic differences between both of them. Then I'll answer to your question, should you read both of it? Let's start. Microeconomics will study individual units. Now you will ask me, sir, what do you mean by individual units? Now this is, let's say, India. Again, hypothetically, this is, let's say, India. Now, can I divide the whole India into three parts in the sense economy? I'm talking about economy here. Can I divide the whole Indian economy into three parts? The three parts are: one, the government of India is there. And when I say government of India, include even the state governments there only. One is the government. Second one is the companies or firms. The companies or firms. And the third one is a household. Third one is simply a household. Now, please tell me if anything we have left out of Indian economy. Look at the picture and please do let me know. Did we leave out anything from the Indian economy? I'm simply dividing the whole Indian economy into three parts. One is the government of India. Second one is the companies or the firms. And the third one is households. Is there anyone in the class who says, sir, you have skipped this part in the Indian economy? Sir, you have left out this part of the Indian economy. Anybody is there? Please do let me know right now. Because as per the theory in economics, the whole economy can be divided into three parts or three components. One is the government, second one is the companies or firms, third one is the household. Now, some of the experts will also say, sir, what about RBI? What about the central banker? Right, the central banker will be considered, that is Reserve Bank of India will be considered as a part of government of India itself. Somebody says, sir, you have left out agriculture. My dear, agriculture sector will be considered as a part of the companies if these are, right, let's say units of manufacturing and allied sector, etc., or they'll be considered as a part of household itself. Education sector, companies or firms. Anybody else who wants to find out a loophole anywhere here? Because as far as I'm concerned, as far as economy is concerned, we have not skipped anything. Everything will be divided into three parts. That is the government, companies or firms, as well as households. What about self-employed? Self-employed will be considered as a part of companies or firms or households. Depends on what kind of unit you have established. Done. So this is basically the idea. Don't worry, don't worry. Right? You have covered all of them. Do not waste your time. You have covered the whole Indian economy. Now you can study the whole Indian economy two ways. One way, you can take only one company out of it. I hope you understand. Imagine in India, 100 companies are there. Simple example. Imagine in India, 100 companies are there. I will not study all the 100 companies. I will study only one producer. Only one company. Now, what is the unit here? This I'll call this as a individual unit of Indian economy. Any problem here? Please do let me know right now. Out of 100 companies, hypothetically, which are present in India, I will not study all the 100. I will take only one company. Out of, let's say, 2 crore houses in India, I will not take all the 2 crore houses. I will take only one house and start studying that individual unit. Why should we study individual unit here? For example, if you are talking about only one manufacturing unit or a production unit, can you study how much is the total production done by this manufacturing unit? Can you study what kind of raw material they are using? Can you study how much employment they are generating, etc.? On the other side, let's say you're using only one house. That is the focus of your study. If you're looking at only one house, how many people are there in the house? How many are employed in the house? What goods are they purchasing in the market? What services are they purchasing in the market? What is the total income of the house? Can we study that? Yes. So whenever you focus on individual units, that is called as microeconomics. That is called as microeconomics. For example, please have a look at the picture here. Please have a look at the picture. Right? You are using on one side a magnifying glass. You will focus on, let's say, a company or a house. So although in the economy, all these units are there, right? You can see houses are there, you can see companies are there, governments are there. But when you use a magnifying glass, that is a microeconomics, you will not study all of them. You will study only individual units. So whenever you study the individual units, it is called as microeconomics. Whereas if you use a binocular, can you use a binocular and study all of them together? That is, can you see all of them together using a binocular? Of course, yes. So whenever you talk about macroeconomics, whenever you talk about macro, M-A, macroeconomics, you're studying the whole economy. Please look at the definitions now. You're studying the whole economy as a unit. That is your macroeconomics. And when you say microeconomics, you're not focused on the whole economy. You're focused on units in the economy. That is the difference between micro and macro. In microeconomics, we deal with individual incomes, individual units of production, individual output of the companies, etc. Whereas in macro, we'll deal with aggregates. Now, there's a term called as aggregate. Many of you will start typing, sir, what do you mean by aggregate? Aggregate simply is the sum total. Aggregate simply means the total, the collection of all. It is called as aggregate. So whenever you talk about macroeconomics, you will talk about, right, total income of India, total production of goods in India, total production of services in India. That is macroeconomics, right? So this is basically the difference between micro and macro. And for you, let me show you the slide. Please do let me know. Please do let me know. Tell me, are we studying mostly macroeconomics or microeconomics? This is a list of the topics. This is a list of the topics for you. Please look at the list of the topics and tell me, are we studying micro or macro? For example, you'll come across government policies, the taxation policies, total production of goods in India, right? GDP, that is total income of India. So the focus for UPSC examination is macro. Remember this. This is the answer to the question that I asked earlier. Should you focus more on macro or micro? UPSC will be asking you question majorly. 99.99% questions will come from macroeconomics itself. Right? I'll give you examples. Don't worry, I'll give you examples. Right? Last year in the UPSC mains, there was a question on agriculture sector. There was a question on the budgeting exercise of government of India. All these concepts are simply macroeconomics. Macro, sum total, everything you will have to focus as a sum total of it, right? That is basically the concept of micro and macro. Any difficulty, please do let me know. And don't do PhD. Many of you, and when I say don't do PhD, my only concern is this: many of you will try to study this complete detail, in complete detail. That is, you will make a list of 50 differences between micro and macro. 50 differences, 20 differences. Trust me when I say this, UPSC is not going to ask those. And I'll tell you what is important, what is necessary, what is required. I'll tell you. Don't worry. And you can test what you're studying in the classroom with question papers. Test it. So don't try to be right very thorough. Don't try to read everything in detail. Not at all needed for UPSC. What is required, I'll tell you. Just read that much, more than sufficient. Go forward. Done. In the mains exam, can UPSC ask difference between micro and macro? Please check the previous year question papers. My answer to that will be very, very, very unlikely. UPSC is not going to waste, right, let's say either 10 marks or 50 marks on these kind of questions. I don't think so UPSC is going to ask you this, right? If you want to test me, please open up last 15 years question papers and test it. What is the difference between economics and economy? Economy refers to a country. Economy refers to a system. For example, have you come across the term Indian economy? This is where I expect you people to read newspapers. Newspapers. And I'm pretty sure if you're reading newspapers, you will come across this term, Indian economy. Indian economy has registered this growth. Indian economy has produced so many goods. Indian economy has created so many jobs. Indian economy has exported, imported, etc., etc., etc. So have a look at this. Economy means it is a system. It refers to a particular area, whereas economics is a study. It is the branch. It is a study. So economics is a study. Economy is a system. Okay, done. Now let me go forward. Next concept, factors of production. And if you're getting any doubts, feel free. Feel free. But I expect you people to be attentive in the classroom. Okay, feel free to ask the questions, but focus on the discussion now. Let's start the next concept now. Four factors of production. In short, I will call it as FOP, factors of production. Now, what do you mean by factors of production? I'll go back to the same argument. Your friend is back. Remote control is back. Will you require inputs to manufacture this? Yes. The laptop that you're using, will you require resources or inputs? Yes. Right? If you are, right, let's say using a AC, will you require inputs to manufacture that? If you're looking at a TV, if you're looking at a mobile phone, will you require inputs? Answer to all the questions that I've asked just now is yes. Resources are needed. Resources are needed to manufacture everything, to produce everything. Now, these resources, rather than listing out every time, for example, let me ask you one more question. Please look at these two products. I'm showing you two products now. Don't you think the resources that are needed to manufacture this is different compared to resources which are needed to manufacture this? Is there a difference or not? Some will be overlapping. Don't say, sir, plastic is common. Yes, I know some resources will overlap, but don't you think some resources will be different? Now, what about this? This as well as this. Again, resources will be different. What about a TV and a washing machine? What about a car and a TV? Of course, yes, resources will be different. But can you keep on listing the resources every time when you want to study economics? That's very difficult. So what we do is, right, understand the reason why we do this. What we do in economics is, we'll divide these resources. I'm using the term resources. Instead of resources, I can also use the term input. And another term which represents either a resource or an input is nothing but a factor. Whatever is an input can also be referred to as a factor, and whatever is a factor is nothing but a resource. So these resources or inputs or factors are divided into four types. Is the logic okay with all of you? These resources or inputs or the factors that you need to manufacture either a good or a service, whatever it is, I will divide all of them. I will classify all of them into four types. What are the four types? One is called as land. Second one is labor. Third one is capital. Fourth one is entrepreneurship. Okay, please by heart all the four. Please by heart all the four. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Now, what is the reason? Why do we divide them into four here? First one, land is nothing but anything that is naturally available to us. Anything that is naturally available to us. For example, what about minerals? And when I say minerals, have you studied something regarding minerals in today's newspaper? Let me see. How many of you have read today's newspaper? Let's say Hindu itself. Forget about other newspapers. Let me ask you Hindu itself. How many of you read the Hindu newspaper article today regarding, right, gallium, right? Two very important critical minerals that China has imposed a certain restriction on. Now, please tell me whatever mineral it is. Don't worry. Whatever mineral it is, it could be, right, let's say iron, it could be aluminum, etc., etc. Don't you think that is naturally available to us? Any problem, please do let me know. That is naturally available to us, yes or no? What about crops? Although we cultivate, but don't you think that is also naturally available? So whatever is naturally available to us, we'll simply call this as land. Can I go to the second one? Whatever is naturally available, we'll simply call this as land. It could be a piece of land. It could be certain minerals, right, etc. So we'll call this as land. Second, labor, that is human labor, right? I can work in a company to manufacture a product. You will work as a software engineer in other companies. You will become, let's say, IAS officers. Labor. So first one is land, that is naturally available to us. Second one is labor. Third one is capital. Third one is capital. Slightly tricky, understand this carefully. What is this capital? Many of the books simply say capital is nothing but money. Understand this carefully. Many of the books, right, I'm pretty sure if you're reading, right, these kind of books, they'll simply say capital is nothing but money. But there is one problem with that argument. What is the problem? Can everybody see a note that is there in my hand? Please do let me know. Can everybody see, right, what is there in my hand? 100 rupee currency note. Please tell me, this 100 rupee currency note, can it manufacture? Can you manufacture using this currency note? Using this 100 rupee note, can you manufacture anything? For example, using this 100 rupee note, can you manufacture this remote control? No. What you need to do is, you will have to use this currency note, let's say, to purchase labor. You will have to use this 100 rupee to purchase a machine. You will have to use this 100 rupee to purchase a land. I hope you understand. Don't say, sir, in 100 rupee, what you will get? Question is not that. Can you use money directly? Can I convert this money directly into a good? No. I will have to use this money to purchase a machine. I will have to use this money to purchase labor. Only then I can manufacture a product. So that is the reason many of the books that you refer to, they'll simply say capital is money. But a slightly, right, a misnomer, capital is not money. Capital simply refers to anything that we have manufactured. I'll repeat the statement. Anything that we have manufactured, which will be used to manufacture or produce another product. I'll give you examples. I'll repeat the definition first here. Anything that has been produced by humans, which will be used to produce something else. For example, what about machines? How many of you will say that machines are naturally available to us? Anyone here who says, sir, machines are naturally available, these are there in nature, we'll simply bring them? No. Machines are manufactured by us. All of you will agree? Machines are manufactured by us, humans. And what is the use of these machines? I will use a machine to manufacture a car. I will use a machine to manufacture remote control. I will use a machine to manufacture a mobile, a laptop, a TV, a refrigerator, AC, etc. So now can I simply say capital refers to those products or anything that is produced by humans which will be used for production of other products. That is capital. Any difficulty? Any difficulty? Please do let me know. So land is naturally available. Labor refers to, right, all of us, that is humans who are used to manufacture products. Third, capital refers to, right, basically those machines or those products which are manufactured, produced by humans, but these are used for producing something else. And finally, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneur is nothing but the person who starts business. Entrepreneurs are nothing but those who start business, those who begin the business, begin manufacturing company. These are called as entrepreneurs. right? So these are the four factors of production. These are the four factors of production. Any difficulty in all the four, please do let me know. Otherwise, we'll go forward. Many of you might be thinking, sir, why do we need to understand all the four? Let me ask you a very simple question. Imagine you are a manufacturer. You're a producer of a company. A producer, right? You have started a company. You're producing this remote control. Now, please tell me, when you decide what is the market price of this, when you want to decide what is the market price, will you not consider what expenditure you have incurred or not? Expenditure in the form of, let's say, labor cost, expenditure in the form of, let's say, iron that you have used here, expenditure in the form of machines that you have purchased, and finally, of course, the most important one, don't you want to earn profit? Yes or no? Don't you want to earn profit by selling this product? Answer is simply yes. So that is the precise reason. That's a precise reason. You need to remember whatever inputs, whatever factors we are going to use to manufacture, produce either good or a service, we can divide them into four. We can have four classifications. One is land, anything that is naturally available to us. Second one is labor. Third one is capital. And the fourth one is entrepreneurship. That is the business owner, the one who has started with the business. Right? So these are the four factors. Now, further going forward with this concept, please understand this very carefully. Right? Let's say here is a company. Okay, let's say here is a company. Okay, this company will use labor. Will use a labor, and labor will come from where? Labor will come from house. Any problem here? Right? Here is a company. The company will use a labor, and labor will come from where? The labor has to come from house. So the factor input that the company uses is nothing but labor services. And after they have used the labor services, they will have to pay the wages. Yes or no? Please do let me know. Is there anyone who says, sir, why is the company paying wages to the employee? Right? Why is the company paying salaries, etc.? If there is anyone, please do let me know right now. So when labor services are provided for the company will have to pay wages, that is salary or income to the right labor, to the labor. Now, please understand here. Let's say wages is 100 rupees. Okay, let's say wages is 100 rupees. Can I simply say this 100 rupee is the cost or expenditure for the company? Point number one. Any difficulty? I'll repeat it again. This 100 rupee is the cost or expenditure for the company. But on the other hand, for the worker, for the person who has worked in the company, this 100 rupee is the income. Any problem here? Please do let me know right now. The company has used labor and company has paid 100 rupee wages to the labor. I am saying this 100 rupee is the cost or the expenditure incurred by the company, and this same 100 rupees is nothing but income earned by the labor. Can I go forward? And this labor is nothing but a factor. This labor is nothing but a factor or an input. Now, can I name them as like this? Okay, can I call these as a factor cost? That is 100 rupee is the factor cost and 100 rupee is a factor income. Any problem here? Same 100 rupee for the company, mind you, is a factor cost or factor expenditure, and same 100 rupee for the worker, for the labor, is the factor income. Any problem? Any problem? Please do let me know right now. Can I go forward? For example, sir, very difficult. Some of you are saying very difficult. You'll become IS officer. I want you to become IS officers. Okay, you will become IS officer. On the first of the month, let's say you will receive 1 lakh rupee salary. Now, can I call this 1 lakh rupees salary for you as a factor income? Any problem with this? Please do let me know right now. You are an IS officer, you will receive salary of 1 lakh rupees. Can I call this for you as a factor income? Because you have provided services. But for the government, can I call it as a factor cost? Factor cost or factor expenditure. So apply the same logic to the company. You are working in a company, let's say you're a software engineer, you will receive salary for you who has provided services, right? That is basically factor income. For the company, it is called as a factor cost. Number is same. Number is not going to change. Whatever is a factor income, same will be factor cost. But factor income is for the service provider. Factor cost is for the company here. That's a basic idea of a factor cost, factor income. And some of you will be confused here. Some of you will simply say, sir, why are you discussing everything in so much of detail? The answer is that you will require all of this whenever you discuss the concept of GDP, which is going to be done today in the evening. So the idea of a factor cost is important. Remember that. Now, there are 4 factors of production. FOP. Sir, if factor cost and factor income is same, the company will be in loss. How? You tell me. How do you simply say factor cost and factor income is same, company will be in loss? How? Where is the question of loss here? I'm talking about company. Here is the company. Here is you. Let's say you're a worker, software engineer. The company will pay 1 lakh rupees salary to you. 1 lakh rupees salary to you. Because the company is paying money, I'll call this as factor cost for the company. I'm calling this as a factor cost for company. And this 1 lakh rupee is a factor income for you. It's a factor income for you. Factor income is for you. Factor cost is for the company. Where is the question of profit and loss here? Where is the question? Why are you confusing? Why are you taking 2 different angles? You're looking at 2 different ways. One for the worker, one for the company, and you're merging both of them. Why? Don't complicate economics. Keep it always simple. Do not complicate it. So this is for labor. Any problem with this? This is for labor. So I've written 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please do let me know. Second one is clear with all of you. Wage is a factor cost for the company. Wage is factor cost for the company. Whereas for the service provider, if you are the employee, you are the service provider. For the service provider, it is the factor income. Right? That is point number 2. Let me go to the point number 1. If the company has purchased certain raw material, if the company has purchased certain land, I will simply call the expenditure incurred by the company as rent. Simply name it as rent. Don't worry, sir, it is paid monthly, it is paid full. Don't worry. Simply call it as rent. Whatever is naturally available in the market, which is there in the market, if the company will purchase that, company will have to pay money for it. I will call this as rent. But on the other hand, let's say on the other hand, I was owning the land. I will sell the land to the company. I was owning certain raw material. I will sell the raw material to the company, which is naturally available in the market. I've extracted it. I will sell it to the company. That will become income for me. I will receive certain amount of money. That will come income. I'll call it as a factor income, that is rent. So first one is land. On the land, cost incurred by the company is called as rent. Income earned is called as rent. For labor, cost incurred by the company is wages. Income earned by the worker is wages. Third one, imagine you want to manufacture this, right? Let's say remote control, Will you require machine? Yes or no? Will you require machine? Machine is nothing but capital. So when you purchase capital, you'll have to pay a certain amount of money. I will call it as interest. So you as a manufacturer, you will purchase a machine, you will pay money, it will be a factor cost, I'll call it as interest. And for the company which has sold a machine to you, that amount will be income, I'll call it as interest. And finally, if you are the owner of the company, you have taken a lot of risk, you have invested a lot of money in the market to start the company. You have put together labor, you have put together machines, you have purchased land, etc. You are the risk taker. You are the owner of the company. So don't you think profit of the company should belong to the owner? Let me know. You have taken the risk, you have invested money, so the profit of the company should belong to whom? Profit of the company should belong to the owner of the company. And who is the owner? Owner is nothing but entrepreneur. So for the owner or the entrepreneur, profit will be income, and for the company, profit will be expenditure or the cost. Right? This is basically how you need to connect the dots here. That is, factors of production are there. Four factors are there: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. And these right four factors of production will have a factor cost as well as a factor right income. And for land, factor cost is called as a rent, income is also rent. For labor, factor cost is right the wages, and right income is again wages. For capital, factor cost is interest. Sorry, for capital, the factor cost is interest, and factor income is again interest. And finally, entrepreneurship, right? Profit is the cost for the company, and income is again same profit. Any difficulty here? Profit, my dear. Let me ask you a very simple question. You start a company. Follow the discussion, then answer. Follow the discussion, then answer. You start a company. Company will make a profit of 100 crores. Who should get the profit? Answer to my question now. Who should get the profit? Should you get the profit, or should government take away the profit from you? Owner of the company should get the profit. Some of you are saying company will get profit. My dear, who is the owner of the company? If you have started, then my counter question to you people will be, sir, company will keep profit. Then my counter question to you is, what is the advantage of you starting a company? Tell me. Those who are answering, sir, company will get the profit, company will keep the profit. Then what is the reason why are you starting a company? Don't you want to earn profit? So if a company earns the profit automatically will become the profits of the owner. Can you understand it? The profits of the company automatically become the profits, earnings of owner. And who is the owner of the company? Entrepreneur is the owner of the company. That's the reason I'm saying, whatever are the profits of the company, they will give it away to the owner of the company. So when the company will give away the profit, can I call it as a cost for the company? Expenditure incurred by the company. On the other side, owner gets the profit. That is the income. Factor income, that is the profit for the owner. Any difficulty here? Any difficulty again? It's a very simple logic. Do not complicate it. Owner should get everything. That's it. Owner should get the profit. So if the company will give away the profit to the owner, because the company is giving away the profit, expenditure, factor cost. Owner is getting the profit, factor income. Okay. Can we go forward? Okay. So, third, sir, interest, my dear. That's the reason I keep on telling you, do not complicate it. You want to manufacture this. This point is clear. You want to manufacture. So, will you purchase a machine? Will you purchase a machine or not? Answer is again yes. When you purchase a machine, will you get it free of a cost? Let me know. Will you get free of a cost? No, you will have to pay money for it. Machine is nothing but capital. So when you purchase a machine, you will pay money. Is it not a cost or an expenditure for the company? Is the logic clear to you? You will purchase a machine, you will pay money for it. Is it not an expenditure for the company? I will call this as interest. But to somebody else, imagine I have sold the machine to you. I'm another company, I have sold the machine to you. So when I will sell the machine to you, I will get the money from you. That is income for me. I will call it as interest. Right, done. So these are the four. Do not complicate it, simply by heart it. Again, logic is there behind this. There is a particular logic. Some of you will say, sir, that thing, you're missing that, you're missing this. I can give you 100 inputs. I hope you understand. To manufacture this, do you think only one input is needed? Do you think 4 inputs are required? No, literally hundreds of inputs are there. But if you keep on writing hundreds of inputs for every product like this, do you think economics will be simplified? Don't you think from one product to another product list will be very, very exhaustive? That is very complicated. Simplify it. You can divide all the inputs only under 4. Land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. And again, logic is simple. Land means anything that is naturally available to us. We are not producing, we are not manufacturing. Naturally, it is available. Labor is humans. Third one is basically capital. It could be, right, let's say a machinery. It could be a patent. It could be, right, let's say infrastructure, which is produced by us. And finally, the owner, that is the entrepreneur. These are the 4 factors of production. Okay, done. Now, these are certain important concepts. Let me shift to the next concept. Again, we'll be using this. Don't say, is it over? Is it over related to factors of production? No. Today evening or next class, when I take up GDP calculation, I will directly throw the term factor income at your face. I will directly throw the term factor cost, right? When I'm discussing. Don't keep on asking, sir, what is the meaning of factor here? What is the meaning of factor income? What is the meaning of factor cost? That will simply show to me that you're not revising. Okay, done. So let me go to the next one here. Generally, the economies, when you talk about economies, you can divide them into different types. And for GS paper, just stick to 3 types. One is called as a capitalism. Second one is called as a socialism. Third one is called as a mixed economy. Capitalism, socialism, and mixed economy. Now, let me give you examples of the countries first. Then I'll give you the features, detailed discussion for all the 3. Mixed economy, the best example is India. Best example for mixed economy is India. After independence in 1948 itself, we announced India will be a mixed economy. And what is the meaning of it? I'll explain. Have patience. Socialism. We do not have a true socialistic economy as of now, but I can give you some examples earlier. Right? Former Soviet Union, USSR. Have you heard of this? USSR, former Soviet Union. Capitalism, a very close, not complete capitalism, very close idea to capitalism is USA, United States of America. Now, what is the basic idea? Why do we refer to a country as a capitalistic country, another country as a mixed economy, and what is the idea for socialism? Let me explain this. Whenever you talk about economy, the goods or services will have to be produced. Any difficulty with this? I'm giving a statement to you. I'm not asking question. I'm giving a statement. Whenever you talk about economy, goods or services have to be produced. Now, the question is, who will produce these goods? Who will produce? Second, at what price the goods will be sold? Where these will be sold? Where these goods or services will be sold? If the question is who will produce, at what price these are going to be sold, And where these right are going to be sold, in which market these are going to be sold. If the answer to all the question is government, if the answer to all the question is government, that is, who will produce the good? Government will decide, government only will produce it. At what price the goods will be sold? Government will decide it. And in which market these will be sold? What kind of goods will be manufactured? If answer to all the questions is simply government, we'll simply refer to this as a socialistic economy. Any problem? We'll simply refer to this as socialism. That is, on behalf of the people, government will control everything. And if you ask me, sir, why do they follow that? Why does government control everything? The argument is simple here. Just look at Indian economy. Again, just hypothetical understanding. Just look at Indian economy. First question, is private sector present in India? Private sector means somebody else apart from government. If you ask me, sir, what do you mean by private? Apart from government. Is private sector present? Yes. Are we producing goods and services through private sector? Again, yes. Third one, which is more important, tell me, if private sector is investing, profits are generated, don't you think the people who are very poor, they will continue to remain poor in India? People who are very rich, they'll become very, very rich in India. Yes or no? Does it make sense to you now? Because whenever private sector is present, private sector focuses on what? Private sector focuses on profit. And when private sector focuses on profit, do you think they are worried about social welfare? Do you think they are worried about poor people in India? Do you think they are worried about upliftment of the poor? Absolutely no. Their argument is, I should invest, I should make more profit. And because they're running behind profit, because they're focused on the profit, they're not worried about poor people. They're not worried about anything else except profit. So should government of India keep quiet there? So that will happen, because in case of capitalism, who will produce goods and services? Private sector. What kind of goods and services will be produced? Who will decide that? Private sector. At what prices the goods will be sold in the market? Private sector. Where they are going to sell the goods in the market? Again, it will be decided by private sector. If answer to all these questions is private sector, the model that we are following is capitalism. And if answer to all these questions is the government, then the model that we are following is called as socialism. Now there is a third one here, mixed economy. Now you'll ask me, sir, what do you mean by mixed economy then? Argument is simple. In mixed economy, both government is present as well as private sector is present. Right? Who will produce? Government will also produce. Private sector will also produce goods and services. Can I give you an example? In case of India, let me know. In case of India, have you seen government providing goods and services in the Indian economy? Let me know. Government in the sense, do not literally imagine minister will come and manufacture. No. Companies which are owned by government of India. So, have you seen government of India through companies producing and selling goods and services? Answer is yes. Have you seen even private sector producing and selling goods and services? Again, the answer is simply yes. So whenever you have both the government as well as the private sector, we will simply call this as a mixed economy. Both will play a very important role. Both of them will play a very important role. Right? So one is capitalism, another one is socialism, third one is mixed economy. And most of the countries, mind you, they will follow the idea of a mixed economy. Very few countries are more towards socialism. They're not complete socialistic. They follow more of a socialism principle. For example, former Soviet Union, or for that matter, until very recently, not now, until very recently, even China, Venezuela, Cuba for that matter. Right? So very few countries are there which are more towards socialism. Most of the countries are in the middle, that is idea of a mixed economy. Now let me take up each one of them individually. First one is the idea of a capitalism. Concept of capitalism. Now what are the features of capitalism? Private ownership is allowed. That is, private people such as you and me, we can invest in the market. We can start companies, right? We can build companies. Companies can invest. They can manufacture. They can sell the goods and services in the market. So private ownership, right, will be allowed in capitalism. There'll be a lot of freedom to produce whatever we want to and sell it in the market, and even purchasing freedom is allowed. What do you mean by purchasing freedom? Let me give a very simple example. Imagine you have 100 rupees. Don't you think you will decide what you want to produce, I'm saying what you want to purchase from the market. Let me know if I'm wrong. You have 100 rupees. You will decide what kind of a product you want to purchase from the market. The 100 rupee, you can use it to purchase biscuits. Yes. Rather than purchasing biscuit, can you purchase, let's say, right, oil from the market? Answer is yes. Can you purchase cigarettes from the market? And there's a particular reason why I'm writing cigarettes. I'll come to that. Can you purchase cigarettes from the market? Yes. Can you purchase liquor from the market? Again, answer is simply yes. So now can I simply say that the buyers have the freedom to purchase in the market. Any problem with my statement? You as a consumer, you will decide what kind of a product you want to purchase and consume in the market. But on the other hand, imagine there was socialism and the government, right? Because the government is deciding everything. What if the government will simply say liquor and cigarette will not be produced and sold? Tell me now, do you have the freedom to consume in this market? I hope you understand the argument that I'm trying to make here. Do you think you have a freedom of consumption? You have 100 rupees. You can simply say, I want to purchase cigarettes. But government says cigarettes are harmful. Cigarette tobacco consumption is injurious to health. So what the government will do is, government will not produce tobacco products in the market. They will not sell any tobacco products in the market. In that case, do you have a freedom of consumption? Absolutely no. Right? So understand the logic here. Freedom to produce, freedom to sell, and freedom to purchase and consume. Role of the government is very, very minimal. Why? Private sector is present. Private sector will decide everything. What they want to produce, how much they want to produce, at what price they want to sell, where they want to sell. Because please understand this, it is always a dependent. That is in the concept of capitalism. Buyers, purchasing power is important. Purchasing power, that is, you have money, you want to purchase, there will be a seller in the market. Right now, let me prove it to you. Imagine the amount of income that all of us are earning in India. Amount of income that we are earning is not sufficient to purchase, let's say, a mobile phone. Hypothetical example, don't say, sir, you are insulting India, etc. Nothing of that sort. Imagine every Indian, whatever income we are earning, that amount of income is much, much lesser than the price of a mobile phone. Do you think manufacturers of mobile phone will be very high in India? Think of it and let me know. Manufacturers of mobile phones will be very, very high. No, because the demand is not there. I hope you understand. Demand is not there. Income is so low, we do not have sufficient amount of income to purchase a mobile phone. Then who will produce it? So purchasing is important. There is a demand. People have money. They are willing to purchase. Hence, manufacturing will be there. Okay, and the most important theme of capitalism is simple. Everybody wants to earn profit, especially private sector. They want to earn. The only reason they are able to manufacture and sell is to make money. That is profit motive. Done? Right? So that is basically the model of capitalism. What are the merits of capitalistic model? No need for the intervention of the government, because private sector will decide everything. And don't you think, because private sector is there, competition will be very high? Let me know. Because private sector is there, competition will be very, very high, right? Usage of resources will also be very high because private sector, again, look at it, private sector is present. Whatever inputs they are using, whatever resources they are using, there will be very, very efficient utilization of resources. Market will become very efficient, supply and demand will become very efficient. Because if the demand is not there, automatically supply will be cut. If the demand increases, supply will increase, etc. like this. Supply and demand forces will be there in the market. The growth will be achieved, that is, production will increase, employment will increase, people will earn more income, they will start moving out of poverty, etc. etc. Consumers will be given prominence, priority. Consumers are always right. Whatever they want to purchase, producers will be willing to manufacture and sell it in the market. Right? There will be a lot of investment in research and development. Better technology will be introduced, etc. So these are some of the merits of capitalism. Any problem with any one of them? Please do let me know. Any problem with any one of them? So in capitalism, weapons are freedom to purchase. My dear, look at USA. Please look at USA. If you're reading newspapers very often, or you're watching some news, very often you'll come across a newspaper article where there is a lot of friction in USA because one part of the let's say the rather than saying government, one party will support, right, the bearing of arms. Another party says no, there should be restriction on the bearing of the arms. So in case of many countries, right, you can basically manufacture and sell weapons. But again, please understand, in India, it is not allowed. You cannot simply go to the market and start purchasing whatever weapons you want to purchase for a very simple reason. First and foremost, India is not pure capitalism. And second, you should not allow people to purchase weapons of their choice whenever they want to purchase. Then in that case, very rich people will purchase, let's say, bazookas. They'll purchase tankers. Don't you think that is threatening? There could be violence in the economy because of that. And so that's the basic idea. Weapons don't put that under the basic idea of a capitalism. Any other issue? Sir Adam Smith propounded the theory of capitalism. Yes, my dear, you're absolutely right. Right, father of economics. The father of economics, that is basically Mr. Adam Smith. In one of the books, he basically proposed that idea of a capitalism should be there. Right, the government should not be intervening. There is an invisible hand in the market. The market will adjust itself, etc., etc. Okay, then taxation capitalism. Government will impose and collect taxes. Don't worry, government will impose and collect taxes. In every form, government will impose and collect taxes. Okay. Government is selling away PSUs. Is it an indicative that India is moving toward capitalism? Not necessarily. We'll discuss more about disinvestment policy later. Don't worry. We'll discuss disinvestment policy. So, what are the issues with capitalism? What are the concerns regarding capitalism then? One, concentration of wealth and income inequality. There are two terms here. Many of you generally get confused between both of them. Let me give you a clarity. Please remember this. Income is how much money you are earning. Any difficulty? Income refers to how much money you are earning. On the first of every month, you will earn income. But wealth refers to how much assets you are owning. Wealth refers to how much assets you own. For example, you might be owning land, you might be owning companies, you might be owning gold, etc. So wealth refers to collection of assets, how much assets you have. And income is how much money you keep on earning. Done? Now please tell me, if rich people will invest in the market, they will get profits, because profits should go to whom? Or should go to whom? Profits will always go to the owners of the company. In such cases, don't you think in such economy, income inequality will be higher, wealth inequality will also be higher? Any difficulty with the first two? Please do let me know. Because the rich people are investing, they are the owners of the company. They will take away the profits earned by the companies. So they will create lot of assets. Their income will also be very, very high. It is going to create income inequality as well as wealth inequality. So that is the first and second concern or the demerit of capitalism. Harmful goods will also be produced to earn profit. For example, tobacco. Is it harmful or not? There is no debate. There is absolutely no debate. Tobacco is harmful for health. What were liquor products? In today's newspaper, I believe in Economic Times, there was a very interesting article, either in Economic Times or Financial Express. The article was generally the argument of the consumers of liquor is that moderate consumption is good for health. Have you heard this argument? Moderate consumption of liquor is good for health. In fact, in today's newspaper, the article was no, even moderate consumption, there is no proof that it is good for health. Right? But again, UPSC is not going to ask you that question. But is the logic okay with all of you? Liquor products, tobacco products are manufactured, are sold in capitalism. But don't you think both of them are harmful? Of course, yes. Right. So harmful goods are produced to earn profit. Right. Class conflict. Rich class, right? Lower class, that is a poor class. Right, the class conflicts will always be there in the economy because rich will continue to remain rich, poor will always remain poor. And finally, concept of business cycle. There is a phase called as a growth, slowdown, recession, etc. Please read what is there in the bracket. Please read what is there in the bracket. We will discuss the concept of business cycle, but I need you to understand first what is the idea of a GDP. What is the concept of a GDP growth? Then we'll come back to this. It will be discussed under the chapter national income. That is the next chapter itself. And so this is the idea of a capitalism, right? Features, advantages, as well as disadvantages. Now let me ask you a very simple question. Do you think India should follow capitalistic model? Let me know. Do you think India should follow capitalistic model? Because the GDP will increase or production will increase, employment will increase, etc., etc. Do you think capitalistic model is best suited for India? Absolutely no. India should never follow capitalism, right? Why? Some of you are saying yes. No, India should not follow capitalism. Why? You might have certain advantages in favor of your argument to promote capitalism. But what about first and second? Please do let me know. What about first and second? Don't you think in India, the number of poor people is very, very high? Income inequality is very high. Wealth inequality is very high. Production of harmful goods is already very high. Right? In that situation, you want to promote complete capitalistic model. Right? Then who is going to uplift? Who is going to basically push poverty out of India? Who is going to ensure poor people will not be exploited? Who is going to ensure resources will not be exploited? Nobody is going to ensure that. You might simply say government, sir. What is the role of the government in capitalism? Please look at the point number 3. What is the role of the government in capitalism? Very minimal. Very, very minimal. Very minimal role. Private sector will decide everything. That is not a best model for Indian economy. Right? That's a reason. Okay. Done. Let me go to the next one. Socialism. Next model of economy is socialism. Now, what is the idea for socialism? All resources are owned by the government. Generally, you'll come across a concept called as central command economy. Idea called as a central command economy. There is one more name for this, centrally planned economy. Centrally planned economy. What is the meaning of central command economy or centrally planned economy? Very simple logic here. The government will decide everything. Any problem here? The government shall decide everything. Who will produce? Government will decide. And government will set up companies and they will only produce goods. What kind of goods are produced? What kind of services should be produced? Government will decide it. Everything is decided by the government. That is the reason this is called as a central command economy or centrally planned economy. All the resources are controlled by the government. Resources are nationalized. There's a term here, nationalized. Please understand this. Nationalization and privatization. I'll write two terms here. Nationalization and privatization. Right? What do you mean by nationalization? In case of nationalization, the ownership will be transferred from the private sector to the government. Any problem here? Please do let me know. In nationalization, ownership will be transferred from the private sector to the government. And in privatization, ownership will be transferred from the government to the private sector. Opposite. I'll give you examples also. I'll give you very simple examples. The most recent example, Air India. I'm writing example for the second one. Any problem with this? The most recent example, right? Air India. Privatization. Air India was owned by Government of India. Today, Air India is not owned by Government of India. Private sector company Tata owns Air India. What about nationalization? There are no recent examples of nationalization. The reason is simple. Post 1991, and we'll discuss that later also. Post 1991, rather than going for nationalization, we have gone for privatization, right? But in the past history, is there any example of a nationalization? Of course, yes. Banking sector. Banking sector was nationalized. We'll discuss why it was nationalized, etc., etc. Coal mining was nationalized. Today, please tell me, if you're reading newspapers, is coal mining done only by Government of India? Think of it and let me know. Is coal mining done only by Government of India? Absolutely no. Now, private sector, we are actually promoting private sector to mine out coal in India. Banking sector, only government owned banks are there in India? No, private sector banks are also present in India. Right? So, banking sector, coal sector, telecom sector, earlier we nationalized them. But now we have privatized, we are promoting the idea of a privatization. Done. So, whenever you talk about socialism, resources will be owned by government. And how can you control these resources? Nationalize them. If these are owned by the private sector, transfer the ownership, government will start controlling them. Okay. Central planning is an integral part, and decisions are made by the authority, that is the government or a government set up authority. Maximizing the social welfare. We do not want a few people to own industries. We do not want very few people to earn lot of profit. So what we will do, we'll simply nationalize them, we'll create employment, more and more jobs will be created. We are going to promote social welfare, right? And competition is very, very low. Most of the times it is absent, but very, very negligible. It is dependent on the government, because the government will set up the companies and they'll set up one companies like this. There is no question of competition here. Done? Right? So these are the features of socialism. So what are the merits? Reduction in inequalities. If private sector, if rich people are investing, they will get the profit. But here in socialism, government controls everything. Where is the question of wealth inequalities? So inequality will start coming down. Second, allocation of resources based on the requirement. The government shall decide what to be produced. The government will decide what is required for the people. Right? That is, allocation of the resources shall be done based on the needs. But who is going to decide what is the need? Again, the government will decide. Social welfare will be promoted. But having said so, is the socialism best model? You think socialism is very, very good model? Of course, yes. Of course, there are certain issues there. First one is corruption. Yes or no? First one will be corruption. Right? Why there's a corruption? Lot of bureaucracy will be there. Lot of government official involvement is there. And when lot of government officials are going to be involved, do you think every government official will be honest? Do you think government will be, government officials will be working always for the welfare of the people? Of course, no. They will create a system where it is very difficult, especially for the poor people, especially for the poor people to survive. And whatever services government is providing, the procedures will be listed in such a way, right? The documentation requirement will be so long, etc., etc. Corruption will start breeding. Any problem with this? Red tapeism and bureaucracy. Red tapeism means what? The rules or regulations or the guidelines which are established by the government, which are set up by the government, which are very much unnecessary. These are unnecessary and they'll cause a lot of delays in the system. Right? So there'll be a lot of corruption, bureaucratic hurdles will be created, incentives will be absent. Right? For example, let's say in India there is only one bank. Imagine a situation. In India, only one bank is there. No competition. Now, only one bank means what? Right? Do you think they'll be worried about efficiency of the work? Do you think they'll be worried about efficient utilization of the resources? Right? Will they produce more and more? Of course, no. Right? Because there is right one unit or one entity, competition is not there. Right? Incentives are not there. Profit motive is not there. Right? So there is an issue here. Productivity will start suffering. Can I give you examples? Many of the companies which were owned by government of India, either have been shut down or have been privatized. Let me know. Yes or no? Please do let me know. If you have seen, if you are reading newspapers, the best example for that is Air India itself. Air India itself. Many of these units, many of the companies which are owned by government of India, continuously incurred losses, not efficient, lot of losses, lot of expenditure, etc. But after privatization, they have started functioning much, much better. Right? So absence of incentives or efficiency, productivity will be very, very less. And freedom of choice. Right? The example that I give you, 100 rupees. Right? In case of socialism, if the government will decide not to produce alcoholic products, though you might have 100 rupees, do you have freedom of consumption of alcohol products there? Absolutely no. If the government decides no more production of tobacco products, you don't have that choice of consuming tobacco products. Okay, right? So limited freedom of choice of production of consumption. Okay, right? So these are some of the demerits of socialism. Any difficulty? Any difficulty? Can we go forward? Will India become capitalist economy soon? No, there are no indications of it. What is absence of incentives? My dear, if you're working in a private sector, is there a scope of additional income for you? Income in the sense incentives. If you achieve this target, I will give you more money. In private sector, it is there. In government, generally no. Red tapeism, my dear, it is there right in front of your eyes. Certain rules or regulations which are set up by the government, which will cause delays, which will create a lot of unnecessary hurdles. Okay, done. Right, so this is idea of a socialism. Let me go to the last one here, mixed economy. And the best example for mixed economy is India itself. Best example for a mixed economy is India. What are the features in a mixed economy? Right, the resources are owned by both government and private sector. Simple. Right, the resources are owned by both government as well as a private sector, public ownership and private ownership. And solution to the economic problems, that is who will produce, how much will be produced or what will be produced, what price it will be sold, etc. These are called as economic problems. Who is going to provide solution to the problems? Both the government as well as private sector. That is both the public as well as private sector. So both of them will will provide the solution for economic problems. Private sector has some freedom, but the control is always with the government. What do you mean by this? Let me ask a very simple question. Tell me now, in telecom sector, in telecom sector, is private sector present? Let me know. In telecom sector, is private sector present or not? Answer is yes, by the way. Can government of India nationalize the telecom sector? Possible? I'm not saying they are doing it. Possible or not? Answer is yes. In case of railways, in case of railways, until very recently, it was only government. That is, the Ministry of Railways was the only entity, was the only authority which was deciding how many trains will run, and that was deciding how much investment will happen, etc. Today, private sector is allowed in railways. This is a fact, by the way. Whatever your book says, today in railways, private sector is allowed. Now, please tell me, tomorrow, can government of India simply remove all this private sector and say only government will operate railways? Of course, yes, that is a decision of the government. That is exactly what I mean in the third point. Private sector has freedom, no doubt. They have certain freedom in the mixed economy. But overall control of the economy is always with the government. Government will decide, right, what they want to do. Should they allow more private sector, or should they move the private sector out of the industry altogether? These are the features. What are the merits of mixed economy? We'll be able to achieve a higher production in the economy. We'll be able to promote industrialization throughout India. That is, there are certain states where the growth is not there, where unemployment is very low, where poverty numbers are very high. We can promote industrialization in such states. We can achieve balanced growth there. Proper utilization of the resources will also be there, because only government is not there. Private sector is also present, competing with the government. Government will protect the interest of all the sections of the society. For example, what about the poor people in India? Right? Don't you think government of India through their own policies is protecting the poorest of the poor in India? Can I give you some examples? Have you heard of Atal Pension Yojana, APY? Let me know. Atal Pension Yojana, right? There is a pension scheme for certain people who are working in unorganized sector. What about Pradhana Mantri Awas Yojana, PMAY? Pradhana Mantri Awas Yojana, housing is provided. What about public distribution system? Right? What about right to education? Again, this is targeted towards poor people. We are not introducing right to education to provide benefit to the children of industrialists. Absolutely no. What about Manrega? What about Pradhana Mantri? Right, various yojanas. I can keep on writing examples. Pradhana Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Yojana, Pradhana Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, etc., etc., etc. But the argument is very simple. Is government of India doing, right, or is it implementing certain measures in order to protect interest of all the sections of the society? Of course, the answer is yes. These are some of the merits of mixed economy. What about the demerits? Public sector, there is no guarantee will become efficient. It might still continue to become inefficient. Best example is telecom sector in India. How many of you are under the belief that BSNL is the most profitable company owned by government of India? Forget what most profitable. Is it earning profit? Answer is no, it is incurring losses. Right? Despite having mixed economy from 1950s, BSNL incurring losses. What about Air India? Right? Again, entity owned by government of India, public sector. Right? Was it not loss making? Again, the answer is yes. So, despite having mixed economy, there is no guarantee that public sector will be efficient. There could be inefficiency in the public sector. Fear of nationalization will always be there, and income inequality will still continue to exist, because private sector means concentration of wealth, concentration of income. So income inequality, wealth inequality will continue to persist in the mixed economy. Any difficulty in any one of the three models? Again, I'll put it in a nutshell. We have discussed the model of capitalism, we have discussed the model of socialism, and we have discussed the model of mixed economy. Now, please tell me, can India follow complete capitalism? You have already answered it, no. Can India follow complete socialism then? Let me know. Right? Can we follow complete socialistic model? Again, the answer is no. right? There is no way you cannot follow complete socialism, right? Because everything is decided by the government. No focus on growth. Everything is decided by the government. Government will decide everything, right? Can we can or right, between capitalism socialism, don't you think a mixed economy model which takes certain features of both socialism as well as capitalism, that is better suited for Indian economy? And that is the precise reason. That's a precise reason why even after 70 years of independence, we are still following the model of mixed economy. Done. So capitalism, socialism, as well as mixed economy. Any difficulty? Once again, explain demerits. Demerits of what? If you simply say once again explain demerits, demerits of what? How income inequality in mixed economy? My dear, you tell me in India, right? You don't. You should not be asking this question. Why? India follows a mixed economy. Don't you think wealth inequality is present in India? Let me know. Don't you think income inequality is present in India? Of course, yes. Have you not seen? Have you not seen in case of Indian economy itself? Very small number of people earning crores of income and large number of people earning meager income. That's a basic argument. Even in India, again, you might ask me, sir, why in mixed economy such a situation is present? Wherever private sector will be present, you will find this outcome. It's very simple. Wherever private sector is present, and tell me in mixed economy, is private sector present or not? Right? You know that already. Wherever private sector is present, you will see this kind of outcome. Okay. What is balanced growth? Balanced growth simply means in India, even today, this is present. You can basically divide the whole of India into parts like this. Parts in the sense, some of the states contribute very high to the growth. Employment is very high, production is very high, industrialization is very high, investment is very high, per capita income means per person how much income these states are earning, it is also very high. Can I give you examples? What about Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka? You tell me, generally, if you're reading newspapers, this will be very, very easy for you. Whenever they talk about industrialized states, will they not cover these kind of states? What about northeastern states? What about some of the states in the middle part of India? Right? There also industries are there. I'm not saying industries are absent. I'm saying industrialization is there. But the level of production, level of employment, level of contribution to income, it is concentrated in these states, much lesser in the other states. That is imbalance. So through industrial policy, through various industries, can we promote balanced growth in the mixed economy? Answer is yes. Okay, done. Right. So this is basically the model of mixed economy. Okay. So these are the three types of models. My suggestion is please revise, please revise, please remember the features. And some of you are saying, sir, you have skipped the table. My dear, whatever I've discussed so far, I've given it in the form of a table. What I've discussed in different slides, it is there in that table, just a summation of what I've discussed. Okay, done. Right. So this is basically certain concepts that we have covered. Any questions? Any questions? If anybody wants to ask a question, please raise your question so that I can answer it. Any questions? Nobody wants to ask questions now. Okay. Why don't India become fully socialist? Right? Have you seen the demerits of socialism? Corruption. One of the biggest demerits of a socialism is corruption. Right? How many of you are under the impression that corruption is very, very low in India? Again, don't worry about central government, state government. Don't make it political. This is economics class. Right? So don't you think at various state government level, corruption is very high? right? Even at various central government levels, the corruption will be there. So if you take away the private sector, if government will start deciding everything, because of the bureaucracy, corruption will become much higher. What about freedom of choice, freedom of consumption, freedom of production? Everything will be lost, right? That's the reason you cannot have complete socialism in case of Indian economy. Okay. Okay, why India became a capitalist economy in 1990s, we'll understand it later. Don't worry. This is a first class, by the way. This is a first class, by the way, right? First session for you people. Later we'll discuss, right, what happened in 1990s, why we started opening up the economy, etc., etc. We'll understand it later. Okay. Is economic growth possible in socialistic country? Of course, yes. It's possible. It's possible. Please tell one proper book for economics. Again, I hope you understand the concern here. My concern is, pick up any book, my dear. There are hundreds of books in the market. Pick up any one book, more than sufficient. I'm not giving name of a book for a very simple reason. If I give one book, everybody, or at least most of you, will start running to the market to purchase only one book, that particular book, right? I'm not going to market that. Any one static book, one book is more than sufficient. Okay, done. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, done then. So let's take a break. So we'll start again at 12. Take a break. We'll start at 12 2. Take a 10-minute break. We'll start at 12 2 p.m. Okay, welcome back. Am I audible? Am I audible? Please do let me know. Okay, great. So far, any issues? We are discussing certain basic concepts related to Indian economy or generally the economy. So far, any issues? Anybody who says, sir, economics is very, very difficult, right? I'm feeling like an Indian batsman playing an Australian pitch, right? Everything is bouncing over my head, etc. If any issues, please do let me know. Don't be afraid, don't be worried, right? Raise your queries so that we can discuss the query and go forward. Done then. Nobody is raising any query, so I'll go forward. Afraid with terminologies? Don't worry. Don't worry. Again, please understand. Some of you will be from different backgrounds, and because you are from a different background, you are looking at the terminology for the first time. Suddenly, you will feel like, okay, everything is very difficult. Everything is right in a different language for me. Don't worry, right? Over a period of time, that's the reason I told you, please keep on reading newspapers. Read newspapers. Right? For example, when I'm discussing idea for economy, there will be a term called as spillover effect. And this is how you need to connect the dots every day. There's a term called as spillover effect. Now, what is the basic idea for spillover effect? And many of you will ask me, sir, what do you mean by spillover? Spillover effect simply means one event is happening and the impact of this event is going to happen somewhere else. Is the logic okay? Two events are happening. One event, it is happening and the impact of this event will be felt on another event. Now, many of you ask, sir, this is very difficult term. This is I'm hearing the term for the first time, etc. I do agree. In that case, I'll give a very simple example. Today's a Hindu newspaper. I gave you the same example earlier also. Today's Hindu newspaper, there's an article which says China is imposing certain restrictions on export of two very critical minerals from China to rest of the world. Simple. China says if you're going to export this, you'll have to follow a procedure. Certain restrictions have been imposed on two critical minerals. Now, this is one policy of Chinese government, one event. Is it going to have an impact on India? Tell me now. Is this going to have an impact on India? Answer is simply yes. Why? The two critical minerals on which restrictions have been imposed by China, China is a major producer of these minerals. And in case of India, we want to promote solar energy, we want to promote electric vehicles, we want to promote right satellite technology, etc., etc. These minerals have a very important role to play in such kind of a technology. Now, can I simply say one event is having an impact on another event? Tell me, please participate and tell me so that I know that you are understanding. Argument is simple, so that I know that you are understanding. Can I call this as a spillover effect now? Can I call this as spillover effect? Answer is yes. That's the reason I tell you, please read newspapers. Please keep on reading newspapers so that you will understand what we are discussing in the classroom. Yes, it is connected to real life events that are going to take place around you. I'll give you one more example. I'm pretty sure all of you heard of Russia-Ukraine war. Anybody who is here who has woken up from coma in the last 1 year suddenly says, what is happening, sir, between Russia and Ukraine? I've never heard of it. So Russia-Ukraine war is happening. And don't you think because of Russia-Ukraine war, India is feeling certain impact? Yes or no? There is certain impact on Indian economy. Can I call this as a spillover effect? Again, answer is yes. So that's the reason. Please understand. Yes, no doubt, you will come across these terminologies. These will be new for you. But don't worry. Don't be threatened by this. If you're reading the newspapers very carefully, you will see that okay, this is connected here, this is connected there, this you can connect here, etc., etc., etc. Done? Okay. Is economic growth possible in socialistic country? I've answered this. Again, yes. Growth is possible, but you cannot target 10%, 12%. Very high growth is not possible. When India not following socialism, why mention socialism in the preamble of the constitution? Right? Again, that's a political faculty to answer in the sense. What do you mean by socialism as a part of Indian constitution's preamble? You will learn the idea of a socialism proposed there. Okay. In fact, it is not purely socialism, socialistic society. Don't worry, you'll come across what do you mean by socialistic as a part of preamble. Okay, uh, don't worry. Let me go to the next one here. Opportunity cost. Those are asking questions on the future chapters. Please keep the questions. I'm not saying I'll not answer it. Keep the questions. We'll discuss this. Don't worry. Okay, next concept is opportunity cost. Now, what do you mean by opportunity cost? Another name for opportunity cost is alternative cost. Now, the opportunity cost simply means the potential benefit or the returns that you have foregone when you choose one alternative over the other. I'll repeat the statement here. I'll give you example also. Have patience. What do you mean by opportunity cost? Opportunity cost simply means what is the potential benefit or the returns that you have lost, foregone, or I'll also use the term sacrificed. When you forego one alternative or when you forego and choose one alternative over the other. Now, what do you mean by this? Let me explain. Let me explain. Listen to the lecture carefully. Now, imagine you have 100 rupees. Okay, imagine you have 100 rupees. Now, using 100 rupees, you will have to make one choice, only one choice. And if you ask me, sir, why only one choice? Please go back to the first part of the lecture where I gave you the definition of economics. Resources are very scarce. Resources are very scarce. And because the resources are very scarce, can you use resources for all the requirements in Indian economy or for that matter, any economy? Of course not. Because these are very, very scarce, very limited, you'll have to make choices. Whether should you use the resource here or there. That is the choice that I'm talking about. So let's say you have 100 rupees. Now you have two options. You'll have to sacrifice one option, choose the other. Now what are the two options? You can take 100 rupees and keep it in a bank in a fixed deposit. Or else you can take the 100 rupees, start a business. Start a business. And again, I'll repeat it. You'll have to choose option one, which means you cannot go for option two. If you choose option two, you cannot choose option one. You'll have to sacrifice one, choose the other. Now, let's say hypothetically, one situation, that is one possibility. You will choose option one, which means you have sacrificed option two. That is, you have taken the 100 rupees, you have kept it in the bank, and after 1 year, you will get 6 rupees because the rate of interest is 6%. So if you choose option one, after 1 year, you will get 6 rupees. But if you had, do you understand the term? If you had invested in the business, what if after 1 year, right, no profit, no loss, 0 rupees, no profits whatsoever, right, 0 rupees. Now, can I simply say, by choosing option one and sacrificing option two, you have earned 6 rupees. Any difficulty? Please do let me know now. By choosing option one and sacrificing option two, foregoing option two, you have earned 6 rupees. Now, rather than this, what if you had chosen option two? You have sacrificed option one. This is situation one. This is possibility one. And this is situation two. In case of situation two, you have sacrificed option one. You have chosen option two. If you are not earning any profit, then can I simply say you have foregone an option you have foregone an opportunity where you could have earned extra 6 rupees. Any problem with the statement that I'm using? Please do let me know. In the situation 2, you have chosen to go invest in a business rather than keeping FD. And after 1 year in business, you have not earned any profit. But rather than starting business, if you had kept that 100 rupees in the FD, you would have earned 6 rupees. Can I simply say you have lost an opportunity to earn 6 rupees? Any problem with this? Any problem with this? Now, this is basically the concept of opportunity cost, which means you have two options. One is the best, and the next one is the alternative, the next best option. You will choose one and you will sacrifice the other. And because you have sacrificed the other, right, that will basically lead to either you will make additional gain, that is your opportunity cost is positive, or your opportunity cost is negative. Any problem with this? Sir, is it always like this? Absolutely no. Can I give you the exact opposite version of this? What if rather than, right, not earning any profit, what if after 1 year you had earned a profit of 8 rupees? Please tell me. What if rather than, right, not earning any profit, you made a profit of 8 rupees? Now, please tell me, if you choose option 2 and sacrificed option 1, don't you think you have made extra earnings of 2 rupees? Any problem? I'll repeat it again. In option 2, rather than not having any profit, I'm saying you made a profit of 8 rupees after 1 year. Then can I simply say, by choosing option 2 and sacrificing option 1, you have made extra profit of 2 rupees, extra earning of 2 rupees. So understand the logic here. Opportunity cost can be negative, opportunity cost can be positive also. But the argument is simple. By choosing one and sacrificing the another. I'll repeat it. By choosing one, sacrificing the other. If you make a comparison, and the comparison is that by choosing one, you have made extra amount, then we'll simply say your opportunity cost is positive. But you choose one, sacrifice the other, your earning is less than what you could have earned in the second option, then I'll simply call it as opportunity cost is negative. Any problem with this idea? Can we go forward? Please do let me know right now. Any problem with this idea? Opportunity cost simply means what? What is the cost? What is the cost of your next best alternative that you have foregone? Whether you have made, right, a positive opportunity cost by choosing one option, or you have foregone a better returns by choosing one option. That measurement is called as opportunity cost. Chosen option give more return, OC is positive? Yes. I give you an example here. I gave you an example, right? I gave you an example wherein rather than 0 rupees, what if you choose option 2 and you make a profit of 8 rupees? So rather than earning 8 rupees, I repeat, rather than earning 8 rupees, if you had kept 100 rupees in the bank, you would have earned only 6 rupees. Right? Don't you think because of, right, the business investment, you have made more returns? Then OC is positive. If not 8 rupees, let's say 0 rupees, or anything below 6 rupees, let's say 5 rupees or 4 rupees also. So you will keep FD, you will get 6 rupees. You will start a business, you will earn a profit of 4 rupees. Don't you think, right? You have made an opportunity cost of 2 rupees by choosing option 1. So that is the argument. Opportunity cost. Any problem with this idea? Please do let me know. Right? So we will use the concept of opportunity cost. The reason is simple, because there is a scarcity of resources. Again, go back to the idea of scarcity, because the resources are very scarce. These are not unlimited, right? Because the resources are very scarce, you will have to choose. For example, imagine you're a manufacturer. On one product, you will earn a profit of 3 rupees. On another product, you will earn a profit of 1 rupee. So don't you think automatically you will shift from manufacturing the second product to manufacturing first product? Yes or no? Right? I'll repeat the argument again here. You're a manufacturer. On one product, you will earn a profit of 3. On second, you will earn a profit of 1 rupee. So automatically, don't you think you are calculating opportunity cost, because now your opportunity cost is, if you manufacture 1 and 1 year, you are foregoing additional profit of 2 rupees. So you will do what? You will move more and more towards a manufacturing of this product, that is the first product rather than first product. Done? Any problem here? Any problem? This is basically the idea of opportunity cost. In opportunity cost, there is always a trade-off. Trade-off means a sacrifice. You will have to sacrifice something in order to earn something else. That is called as a trade-off. When you choose one, you will have to forego the other option, the next best alternative that is available to you. Right? That is basically, right, the formula for opportunity cost. Right? This is also one more concept related to microeconomics. Please remember this. Any difficulty? Otherwise, I'll go to the next concept, which is very important for UPSC preliminary examination. If rupees 6 is earned in business, then no profit, no loss. Yes, but again, all this is just hypothetical calculations. My chosen alternative gives me more return opportunity cost is positive. Correct. Whatever option you have chosen, if you earn more than what you have sacrificed, then your opportunity cost is positive. Whatever option you have chosen, the earning on that is less than what you have foregone, then your opportunity cost is negative. That is basically the idea. Sir, when will the next break be given? After 1 o'clock. The lunch break will be given after 1 o'clock. Done? Right? So let me go to the next one here. The law of demand. I'll discuss two laws now, very important for UPSC, especially for preliminary examination. And I'll show you the questions later, don't worry. One is a law of a demand, and the second one is law of supply. One is a law of a demand, and the second one is law of supply. Now, before I go forward, please remember this. Law of a demand discusses from buyer side. From buyer's side in the market. That is, you go to the market to purchase goods and services. Law of demand will consider you. Whereas law of supply will talk about supplier side or seller side. So do not be confused when I discuss law of demand, law of supply. Some of you will say both are opposite, because both are considering different angles, different parts of the market. Automatically, concept should be different. Okay, so let me start with law of demand. What does the law of demand state? I'll go back to previous slide. Please don't worry. Law of demand simply states that if all the factors remain constant, if all the other factors remain unchanged, then higher the price of the good, lower the demand, and vice versa. I'll repeat the statement. The statement is there right in front of your eyes. The law of demand states that if all the other factors remain unchanged, nothing will change, only price will change. Then higher the price of the good, lower will be the demand, and vice versa. Vice versa means what? If the price of the product becomes lower, demand will go up. Opposite direction. That is, please understand this. The law of demand states if price goes up, demand goes down. And if price goes down, demand goes up. Any difficulty in this statement, please do let me know. Why it will happen, I'll explain it. Any difficulty in understanding this relation? P is price, D is demand. So price and demand are moving in opposite direction. Are moving in opposite direction. This is one way to remember. Or else I can also say price and demand are negatively related. Are negatively related. Any difficulty in understanding the definition? I'll tell you why it will happen. Focus on the definition first. Now, there is also a term called as ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus simply means, right, all the other factors remain unchanged. If nothing else changes, if everything else remains the same, that is the meaning of the term ceteris paribus. Right? So, opposite direction, inversely related, negative relation, that is basically what you will find in price and demand. Now, question is, sir, why? Why is that price and demand are moving in opposite direction? And is it always correct? Please remember, I'll start with the second question here. You will never find this relation in every situation. I hope you understand my statement. Is it universally applicable to all the situations in market? Absolutely no. I'll give you an example. Right? I'll give a very simple example. Salt. Please tell me, will you reduce the consumption, that is the demand of the salt, if the price of the salt goes up? Let me know. Will you reduce the demand for the salt? Or will you consume lesser salt because the price of the salt has gone up? Of course, no. Or on the opposite side, if the price of the salt goes down, will you consume more salt? Of course, no. So I hope you understand the argument here. There are always exceptions. I'll give you a list of it. Have patience. But for majority part of the market, this is correct. Price and demand are always moving in opposite direction. Okay. Now, have a look at this. To understand why this situation happens in the market, first and foremost, the demand for a product depends upon what? On what factors we will purchase, right? We will decide and purchase a product in the market. First one is price of the commodity. Price of the commodity is very important. In fact, the most important factor that will determine whether we will purchase a product or not is the price of the commodity. Now, many of you will simply ask me, sir, what do you mean by the term commodity? Commodity means a good or a service. Simple. Commodity simply means a good or a service which is produced and sold in the market. Any problem with this? Right? Commodity simply means a good or a service which is produced and sold in the market. For example, you can say this is a commodity, oil is a commodity, gold is a commodity, etc. etc. So, first factor that will determine what we will purchase, how much we will purchase, is the price of the commodity. Second one, price of the related goods. Now, many of you will ask me, sir, what do you mean by related goods? Please understand, related goods simply means where the price of one good will have an impact on demand for another good. I'll give you examples. Will have an impact on demand for another good. Sir, what do you mean by this? Price variation of one good will have an impact on demand for another good. These are called as related goods. I'll come back to this. Just give me a minute. Okay. Have a look at this. I've given two examples here. Substitute goods and complementary goods. Related goods are divided into two types. One is called as a substitute good, and the second one is called as the complementary good. Substitute and complementary. Let me start with examples here. Tea and coffee, cold drinks, cars, mobiles, etc. Petrol and diesel, cars, ink and printer. Let's start with ink and printer. Please tell me, if price of the ink goes up, please answer this question now. Price of the ink goes up, what will happen to the demand for the ink? Apply the logic now. If the price of the ink goes up, what will happen to the demand for the ink? Participate. the demand will automatically go down. Yes or no? Demand will automatically go down. And if people are purchasing lesser and lesser ink, what will happen to the demand for the printers? What will happen to demand for the printers? Automatically that will also be affected. You can go other way also. For example, if the price of the printer goes up, if the price of the printer goes up, what will happen to the demand for the printer? Demand will go down. And if people are purchasing less number of printers, what will happen to the demand for the ink of the printers? Ink will also go down. Any problem here? Any problem? Now can I simply say price of the printer is having an impact on demand for ink? Price of the printer is affecting the demand for ink. Can I call this as a related goods? Can I call this as a related goods? Answer is yes. But more importantly, make an observation here. Please make an observation. In this example that I gave, price of printer has gone up and the demand for ink has gone down. Please make observation here. Price of printer has gone up and the demand for ink has gone down. Can I simply say in case of complementary goods, price and demand are inversely related? Let me know. I'll repeat it. In case of complementary goods, price and demand inversely related or negatively related. That is, one is going up and second one is going down. Inverse relation. Now go to the first one here. Substitute goods. Tea and coffee. Tea and coffee. Imagine you will go to a hotel or restaurant. You will ask for tea. Until now, tea and coffee price was same. I'll just take a hypothetical example. Until now, let's say tea also cost you 10 rupees. Coffee also same cost 10 rupees. You went to a restaurant now. You'll order for a tea, but they'll say cost of the tea has gone up to 12 rupees. Cost, that is the price of tea, has gone up from 10 rupees to 12 rupees. Now you please tell me, don't you think automatically you will reduce the consumption of tea and many of you will start consuming coffee because of this? Yes or no? Right? Automatically you will reduce consumption of tea, demand will go down and the demand for coffee will go up. Yes or no? And in this case, what is happening? Price of tea has gone up and the demand for coffee has gone up. What kind of relationship is existing here between price and demand of substitute goods? Right? Price of tea, demand for coffee going upwards means this is a positive relation. This is a negative relation. This is a positive relation. Any difficulty in understanding? Substitute means what? Instead of consuming A, you will replace A with B. That is, instead of consuming tea, you will replace tea with coffee. You are substituting. And please remember this. In substitute goods, you will replace one product with another product. You are not consuming both. You will replace tea with coffee. Whereas in complementary goods, are you replacing? No, you are combining them. I hope you understand. You are combining both the products and consuming. Complementary. You will replace one product with another product. Substitute. Any problem here? Can I go forward? Can I go forward? In case of substitute goods, a positive relation, directly proportional. In case of complementary goods, a negative, that is a negative correlation, inversely proportional. In substitute, you will replace one with another. In complementary, you will consume them in combination. For example, ink plus printer. It's not ink or printer. You'll purchase printer, you'll also purchase ink. You'll purchase a car. Will you not purchase petrol? Think of it. You'll purchase car, will you not purchase petrol? Of course, yes. You'll have to consume them in combination. And please tell me, if price of petrol cars will go up, don't you think automatically the demand for petrol cars will go down? If demand, that is the consumption of petrol cars will go down, what will happen to consumption of petrol? Because of those lower demand for cars, automatically the demand will also be lower. That is basically the idea, right? So complementary goods are consumed in combination. Substitute goods can be substituted. That is, in place of one, will consume another one, right? That is basically the idea, substitute and complementary. And both of them are examples of related goods. Any problem here? Both of them are examples of related goods. Now, please understand, I'll go back to the earlier slide, slide number 23. Price of commodity, that is one factor that will have an impact on the demand. What about price of related goods? Tell me now, what about price of related goods? For example, I took an example of tea and coffee earlier, and tea and coffee are nothing but substitute goods. Let's say I'm talking about tea. The good that I'm talking about is tea. Will the price of tea affect the demand for tea? Answer is yes. Any problem here? The price of tea, will it affect the demand? Of course, yes. What about price of coffee? Will the price of coffee also have an impact on demand for tea? Answer is again yes. For example, what if right now tea price and coffee price is 10 rupees, price of coffee goes up to, let's say, 13 rupees. What will happen to demand for tea? Demand for tea automatically will go up. So what is the price of the related goods will also have an impact on the demand for a product. Right? So point number one, point number two. Point number three, income of the consumer. Anybody has a problem with this? Anybody who says, sir, income will not affect the demand for the goods in the market. For example, if your income will go from, let's say, 50,000 rupees to 1 lakh, will you not purchase more of a certain good? From 1 lakh to, let's say, 10 lakh rupees, will you not demand more goods in the market? From 10 lakh rupees to 1 crore rupees, you are a crorepati now. More demand. So, of course, yes, demand will also have a huge impact on the kind of a, the income will also have a huge impact on kind of a demand you will have in the market. What about taste and preference? What is your taste and preference? For example, sir, I'm a pure vegetarian. Is it not a taste and preference? Please do let me know. Right? Sir, I'm a fan of Virat Kohli or MSD. Is it not your taste and preference? Sir, I'm a fitness enthusiast. Sir, I prefer the products which have very good technology in it. Is it not your taste and preference? And please tell me, will your taste and preference also have an impact on the demand for a product or not? Any problem with any one of the four here? Please do let me know. Any problem with any one of the four? What is your income? What is the price of the product? What is the price of the related goods? And what is your taste and preference? All of these will definitely have an impact on the demand. But now come to the point here. What does the law of demand say? The law of demand says that 2, 3, and 4 will not change. I'll repeat the statement. The law of demand says that 2, 3, and 4 will not change. Only first one will change. And when the first will change, the demand will also change, but in opposite direction. That is a law of demand. Any problem? Can I go forward? That is basically the law of demand. When they say, please have a look at it. If all the other factors remain unchanged, what does it mean? 2 will not change, 3 will not change, 4 will also not change. Only the first one will change. And as a result of this, the demand will also change, but in opposite direction. That is basically the concept of law of demand. But why? Why does it happen in the market? I'll explain this. The first reason why the law of demand happens is called as substitution. First one is called as a substitution. Why substitution will lead to change in the demand? For example, tea and coffee. Tea and coffee. Please tell me, if price of tea goes up compared to coffee, now tea has become more costlier. Will you continue to consume tea? Don't you think some of the consumers will simply say, coffee will continue to cost me 10, tea will cost me 12 rupees. So rather than consuming tea, I will start consuming coffee. So what we have done? We have substituted. Any problem here? So when you substitute the product, what will happen to the demand for tea? Demand for tea automatically will go down. So price has gone up, demand has gone down. First reason. Second reason. Second reason. Sir, here taste is being changed. My dear, please tell me honestly. Tell me honestly. Don't you think most of us do not have any preference over tea and coffee? Let me know. Some of you are saying, but sir, coffee is different, tea is different. Please tell me, have you experienced this or not? Many of the times, when we go to restaurant, we do not have any preference. Most of us, I'm not saying all of us, most of us. Tea or coffee, one of them is okay. Or else I'll give you one more example. Right, today is a Sunday. Most of you will go outside. Most of you will go outside to have food. Let's say you will go to a restaurant, you will order for a biryani, and you will say, give me a cold drink. Tell me now. Right, you will simply ask the bearer or the waiter, give me a cold drink. You will say, give me thumbs up. And the bearer says, sorry sir, thumbs up is not there. What will you do? Instead of thumbs up, you will order Pepsi. Yes or no? Does it make sense to you or not? Again, I'm not saying everybody. I hope you understand this. Many of you are saying, no, sir, I will not do this. I'm talking about economy. I'm not talking only about you. I'll tell you why you will also reduce the demand. Give me a minute. Right? But most of us, we do not have any preference. We'll simply say, okay, cold drink. Thumbs up is not there. Coke is there. Give me a Coke. Coke is also not there. Right? Pepsi is there. Give me a Pepsi. Right? The bearer says, sir, not even Pepsi. Then you'll ask, cold water is there. Give me cold water. I'll have it. So what we have done, we have substituted one product with another product. Second very important reason is purchasing power. This is important. Purchasing power. I'll give a very simple calculation. Let me know whether the calculation is very difficult for you. Imagine you have 100 rupees. Price of the product is 20 rupees per unit. How many units you will be able to purchase? 5 units. Now, the price of the product goes up from 20 rupees to 25 rupees. You have same 100 rupees. What will happen to the demand for the product? Please tell me. What will happen to the quantity demanded for a product? Quantity demanded for the product automatically will go down. So if the price goes up, demand will go down. Any problem with this? At least now. And again, please understand, will this also have an impact? Of course, yes. There are multiple reasons why the demand is going in opposite direction compared to price. One is people will start substituting. Second one is purchasing power. Right? Any difficulty here? Any difficulty to understand why price and demand will move in opposite directions? Does it happen always in case of all the products? Not necessary. I'll give you examples later. Exceptions are also there. Done? Now, how do we represent it? How do we represent law of demand? Law of demand is represented in a graphical representation here. Please have a look at it. Along the x-axis will represent quantity, that is units. Along the y-axis, I will represent price. And the line, the line is a curve which goes like this. A downward sloping curve, they'll say. Okay, a downward sloping curve. And many of you will ask me, sir, is it always a straight line like this? Is it always like this? Of course, no. Now, please tell me. Think of it and please do let me know. Do you think the law of demand curve for salt will be like this? Please do let me know now. I do think the law of demand for salt will be always a sloping, downward sloping curve like this. No, right? Whatever could be the price, the demand will almost remain constant. Does it make sense to you? Right? Whatever might be the price, the demand will almost remain constant. So it will be almost like this. I hope you understand. Almost like this. Right? So whatever could be the price. For example, today the price of salt will fall down by 2 rupees. I will not stop the class, run to the market to purchase more salt. No. Today, if the salt prices will go up by 10 rupees, my spouse or my mother or your spouse, your, right, let's say your mother or even father for that matter, they will not skip putting salt in the rice. They will not skip putting salt in the dal. Right? So salt is a essential commodity, will continue to consume in the same quantity, whatever could be the price. So that's the reason, please understand. Right? The curve is given like this, but for all the goods, is it always like this? Not necessary. I hope you understand this. For all the goods, is it always like this? Not necessary. Right? For some of the goods, the curve might be vertical like this. For some of the goods, curve might become right horizontal. For some of the goods, curve might become like this. Right? That is a pure curve like this. Rather than a straight line, it could become a concave curve, for example. Done? Right? So this is a law of demand. And please understand, I've given a table here. Many of you are asking, sir, should we remember the table? My answer is no. Please do not buy a table. Table is not necessary. Then what is the reason why I've given a table? This is this table that I've given. It is called as a demand function. Is it needed for GS paper 3? Absolutely no. Is it needed for GS paper 3? No. This is called as a demand function. Now, what is the meaning of the term demand function? Please tell me. I'll ask you a very simple question. At 20 rupees per unit, 25 rupees per unit, 30 rupees per unit, 15 rupees per unit, do you think you will purchase the same quantity of the good? Again, don't say, sir, salt, etc. Generally, you talk. Generally, if the price of the goods will keep on changing, don't you think the quantity of the good that you demand in the market will also keep on changing? That is exactly what we have done in the graph here. I hope you understand. Right? That is exactly that I've done in a graph. Right? That is basically, if you ask me, sir, why, how can you plot the graph like this? At 15 rupees, the demand could be this much. At 20 rupees, the demand could be this much. At 25, 30, 35, 40. So what I've done, I've taken at different price levels. How much is the quantity demanded? I will plot them in the graph. I'll connect the dots. Do you remember high school? In high school, I'm pretty sure you would have come across this. How do we draw a graph? Right? First, take x-axis coordinate, y-axis coordinate, plot it, then connect the dots. You will get the graph here. This is basically the concept of law of a demand graph. Any problem here? Anybody has a problem so far? Sir, what is the law of a demand? On what factors the demand will be affected? Right? Why the law of demand behaves like this? Is it always going to be holding true in all the cases? Right? Are there any exceptions? I've given you one exception of a salt. I'll give you one more exception. Please tell me, will the price of petrol have an impact on demand for petrol? How many of you believe that when the price of petrol will go up to 110 rupees, demand will fall down in the market? Anybody is there who believes that? Absolutely no. Right? Why? For taking care of day-to-day activities, whether you like it or not, we are consuming petrol and diesel. So when it was 80 rupees, it has reached 100 rupees, it will go up to 110 rupees, etc. Demand doesn't change by much. I hope you understand. Demand change doesn't change by much. Right? Why? These are essential goods. We require them. That's the reason. Okay. Done. Shall we go forward here? Why we say that price is an independent factor, my dear? uh, I believe you have basically read a certain book, right? That is optional book, or let's say even normal book. whenever you talk about the price and demand, there's a concept of dependent factor and independent factor. Again, is it required for UPSC? Absolutely no. Because you have asked a question, I'm answering it. Otherwise, you'll simply say that faculty doesn't know the answer, right? So just a joke, by the way. So argument is simple. You're looking at two factors here, price and demand. Now, don't you think the change in the demand is because there's a change in the price? Please tell me. I'll repeat the question. You're considering two factors, price and demand. Now, because there is a change in the price, demand changes. Yes or no? That is the reason we'll say price is an independent factor, demand is a dependent factor. Any problem now? Any problem? Let me know. Price is an independent factor, demand is a dependent factor. Because price is changing as a result of that demand changes. That's a reason. Okay. Again, that's required more for, let's say, optional papers. For GS paper, not needed. Let me start. Next one is a law of supply. Next one is the concept of law of supply. One is law of demand. Second one is law of supply. Now, what does the law of supply state? Law of supply states that if all the other factors, everything else in the market doesn't change, remains same, then the price of the good or a service changes. The supply will also change. Supply will also change, right? And this change in the supply will be in the same direction as the change in the price. That is, please understand this. Law of supply simply states if price of a good commodity is either a good or a service. If the price of a commodity goes up, supply will also go up. And if the price of the commodity goes down, supply will also go down. This is basically law of supply. Now, if you ask me, sir, why is that price and supply will go in same direction, right? That is, go upwards or go downwards. Reason is very simple. Imagine you are manufacturing. Follow this very carefully. Imagine you are manufacturing this remote control. The cost of raw materials does not change. Cost of labor does not change. The taxes imposed by the government does not change. Nothing changes. But the price of the remote control goes up in the market. Please tell me what will happen to your profits? Tell me now. Nothing changes. That is, the raw material cost does not change. Labor cost, technology, the subsidy or taxes imposed by the government, nothing will change. But the price of the remote control in the market will go up from 10 rupees to, let's say, 13 rupees. What will happen to your profits? Will the profits increase or not? I hope you understand the logic here. The profits automatically will go up. Now, please tell me, if you're earning more profit on the remote control, will you supply lesser remote control or more remote controls? Let me know. Right? Will you produce and supply more or lesser? You will also supply more. Again, some of you are bringing law of demand here. Have patience. Have patience. Discuss only law of supply. Discuss only law of supply here. I'll bring both together. Have patience. And by the way, you write a comment. Many of you will keep on giving me a technical definition of very layman definitions that I give. For example, I gave you law of demand, ceteris paribus, etc. Somebody gave a very technical definition of law of demand. I do understand you're from a commerce background. Your background is from economics. I do understand. But I don't want to bring technical definition and make it complex. I'll keep it very simple. So now tell me, if profit increases, you will increase supply. If profit decreases, you will reduce supply. Is it not the same as law of what the law of supply says here? Law of supply says if the price of the commodity goes up, the supply will also go up. And if the price of the commodity goes down, supply also goes down. That is, the price and supply will move in same direction. Will move in same direction. These are positively related. Any problem with this? Any problem with this? This is a law of supply. Now there's a term subsidy here. Please don't worry about it. We'll have a separate discussion on subsidies. Have patience. Right? So law of demand, law of supply. Now, what we have done so far is, right? I'll come back to this. Don't worry. What we have done so far is, we have discussed the law of demand separately, law of supply separately. But don't you think in the market, both of them, that is a demand and supply, both of them are there simultaneously? That is, currently if you go to the market, your demand side. If I come to the market to sell, I'm supply side. So when seller will sell, buyers will purchase. So law of demand, law of supply, both of them are happening simultaneously, concurrently in the market. So what I've done here is, I've taken the law of demand curve and the law of a supply curve. And by the way, this is law of supply curve, right? I've given it separately here. Any problem with law of supply curve? Please tell me now. Any problem with law of a supply curve? That is, along x-axis will represent quantity of the goods, along y-axis will represent price of the commodity. As the prices will go up, quantity supplied will also keep on increasing. Let's say here price was 10 rupee. I'll take a simple number. Imagine price was 10 rupee. So quantity supplied will be how many units? So let's say 100 units. Just hypothetical numbers. If the price goes up from 10 rupees to 20 rupees, don't you think automatically the quantity supplied should also go up? That's the reason the law of supply is an upward line. So law of demand is a downward line and the law of supply is a upward sloping line. Now what I've taken is, I've taken both the curves, both the graphs, put it in a single. That's law of a demand curve, law of supply curve. Both are moving in opposite direction. I've put them in a single graph. Now please go back to your high school, right? In geometric classes, coordinate geometric classes, the teacher would have told you, if one line is going downwards and another line is going upwards, that is in opposite direction, both the lines will intersect each other at one point. Am I correct? Please do let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right? Your faculty or teacher would have told you, if there are two lines which are moving in opposite direction, they will cut each other. Intersection means cutting. They will cut each other at only one point. That is exactly what you will see in the graph here. The demand curve is going downwards, supply curve is going upwards. So it will intersect at one point. This point is called as market equilibrium. This point is called as market equilibrium. And the price, right, this price is called as a clearing price. This price is referred to as clearing price. And what is this equilibrium point? What is this market equilibrium? It's a best position in the market where both buyers and sellers both are happy with the transaction. I'll repeat the statement. This position that we are looking at, position means what is the quantity which is being sold and what is the price at which we are selling it. So whatever is the quantity, whatever the price is, both the buyers and sellers both are happy with it. Both are conducting transactions. Both are simply happy whatever goods are being brought. Whatever is the quantity, the buyers are purchasing it at the same price. That's the reason this is called as an equilibrium point or market equilibrium. Any difficulty in understanding this? Please do let me know. What will happen in the reality, I'll tell you. Any problem with this? It is called as a clearing price because imagine, I'll take a simple example. Imagine I'm a manufacturer. I'll bring 100 units of this remote control at 50 rupees per unit. I will bring all the 100. You will purchase all the 100 units at 50 rupees per unit. Are you happy by purchasing at 50? Yes. Am I happy by selling at 50? Yes. Both the sides of the transaction, both the sides of the market are happy with the price as well as quantity. That's the reason this is called as an equilibrium or the clearing price or market equilibrium point. But what happens many of the times is, because of certain external factors or internal factors, etc., there's a mismatch. Rather than remaining at equilibrium point, we will go above the equilibrium point or below the equilibrium point. For example, today you talk about tomato, because many of you are concerned about tomato. Please tell me, in case of the market for tomato prices, are we at equilibrium point? And moreover, please understand, this is a wrong comparison. I'll tell you why. Agriculture commodities generally, it's very difficult to bring them in the market equilibrium, right? Why? Because agriculture products are different kind of products. Different in the sense, I'll give a very simple example. Imagine I'll produce one remote control. I will also produce one tomato. Don't you think tomato will perish much sooner compared to remote control? Yes or no? Please do let me know. Tomato as a product, agriculture commodity, will perish. Perish means get spoiled, right? Becomes useless much sooner compared to this remote control. You can purchase a remote control, keep it in the shop for 1 year. Nothing will happen. But imagine you purchase a tomato, keep it on the right, let's say table for 1 year. Right? What will happen to the tomato in 1 year? So understand the logic here. So, but anyways, generally what happens in the market is, rather than remaining at equilibrium point, rather than remaining at this point, generally what happens is there is a disequilibrium, mismatch in the market. What is this mismatch? Price might go up, price might go down. I hope you understand. Prices can fluctuate in the market rather than remaining at the same equilibrium price. For example, what if, right, I'll write a simple number here. Let's say this is P1. This point is P1. Rather than remaining at P1, which is an equilibrium price, what if it reaches P2? Please tell me now. What if it reaches P2? From P1, we have gone up to P2, which means price of the commodity has gone up. Now, when the price of the commodity goes up, what does the law of demand say? Law of demand says that rather than purchasing Q1, the demand for the commodity will fall down to Q2. Any problem here? Please do let me know. Rather than purchasing or rather demanding and purchasing Q1, the demand quantity demanded automatically will go down to Q2. Yes or no? But on the other side, if you are a manufacturer or a seller, price has gone up to P2. Will you continue the same quantity of supply? No. You will increase the quantity of supply to Q3. But look at the mismatch here. In the market, the demand is Q2, but you are supplying Q3. Can you sustain the same pricing? Let me know. Right? Price P2 is there. You are supplying Q3, but the demand is Q2, which is much lesser. Will you be able to sell it at the same price continuously in the market? No, you cannot sustain the pricing. So what will happen? Automatically the prices in the market will start falling. Yes or no? Automatically the prices in the market will start falling. Prices have to be cut down. If you're not able to understand this, understand in a different way. Q3 means what? Supply of quantity is very high. I'll throw certain numbers just to make you understand. Imagine supply is 1000 tons. 1000 tons of supply is there in the market. But the demand is only for 200 tons. Don't you think there is a higher supply, excess supply in the market, surplus supply in the market? And when there's a surplus supply in the market, will you be able to sell at the same prices? No. You will have to reduce the prices because the sellers are competing with each other. Sellers are competing with each other. So what will happen to prices in a surplus situation? Prices will start falling. Can I go forward? Any difficulty here? Please do let me know. Can I go forward? On the other side, let's say price will fall down to P3. Right? From P1, the price will fall down to P3. Now, on one side, what does the law of demand say? If prices will go down, quantity demanded should increase. So from Q1, you'll start demanding Q3 in the market. But on the other side, what will happen to supply? prices goes down means supply should also go down. So quantity supplied will go down from Q1 to Q2. Now you are here. The demand in the market is 1000 tons, but the supply is only 200 tons. Best example for this is, let's say, tomatoes. Yes or no? Best example for this is tomato. Demand is very high compared to supply. And because of this, what will happen to the prices? This is a shortage situation. The prices will start going upwards. This is how the market will behave whenever it is not in equilibrium. If the prices go above equilibrium, then the demand will go down, supply will go up. And because there's a mismatch between supply and demand, prices should go down. But on the other side, if the prices will fall below the equilibrium, demand will go up, supply will go down, right? Automatically, the prices in the market will start increasing. This is the concept of market equilibrium. Any problem with this? Any problem? Please do let me know. Right now, finally, after this, we'll take a break. There are certain exceptions to all of this. That is a law of demand as well as law of supply. There are certain exceptions. Now, what are the exceptions I'm talking about here? One is whether the substitutes are available or not available. Right? Let me know whether the substitutes are available or not available. Don't you think that will define to what extent the demand will change in the market? For example, what if there is only tea available? Nothing else is available, only tea. Now, please tell me, if the price of the tea goes up, will you see a sudden drop in the demand? Think of this and tell me now. I'm looking at your comments. There is no substitute available, only tea is available. Price of tea goes up. Will you see suddenly a drop in the demand for tea? No, right? You will not see a sudden drop. Rather than this, what if tea and coffee both are available? Easily available, right? So easy that at the same point, either you can purchase tea or coffee. So you can easily substitute the product. Okay. Whether the good is essential or not essential. Best example, salt. Whether the good is essential or not essential. Don't you think salt is a very good example of this? Right? Electricity is a very good example. Petrol and diesel, LPG is a very good example. Right? So whether the good is essential or not essential, that will also have a huge impact. Impact on the budget. What do you mean by the term budget here? Overall expenditure. Simple. Overall expenditure. Now, please tell me, right, in your own houses, own households, don't you think a large number of houses in India have been affected by rise in the tomato prices? Large number of houses. Yes or no? Please tell me whether the large number of houses in India, have they been affected by the rise in the tomato prices or not? Yes. Why? Because a large number of houses have limited amount of source of income. Very limited amount of source of income. And in case of a limited amount of source of income, price of tomato goes up from 20 rupees per kg to 80 rupees per kg. 80 to 120 rupees per kg. Will it not have an impact on their overall expenditure? Of course, yes. What about the price of the milk? Of course, yes. But please tell me now, if the price of tomato increases from 20 rupees per kg to 22 rupees per kg, will it have a huge impact? I hope you understand the difference. From 20 rupees to 80 rupees, huge impact. But from 20 rupees to 22, 21, not a huge impact. So what is the impact on the expenditure? What is the impact of right, all the price rises on the expenditure of the houses? That will determine to what extent the prices will change. In fact, if you have read yesterday's newspaper, Hindu newspaper, many newspapers, right, don't you think the same impact was discussed in the context of McDonald's? Yes or no? How many of you have read the newspaper? Let me see now. Sir, what are you talking about? I have not read anything regarding McDonald's. The company McDonald's, which sells burgers in India, they have removed some of the burgers on their menu items because the tomato prices are not sustainable for them. At the same price, they are not able to give you a burger now. So basically, they have stopped using tomatoes. right? So again, that's what I'm talking about. What is the impact on the overall expenditure or the budget? Goods which have very, very shorter shelf life. For example, imagine you're a farmer. Okay, you're a farmer. Looking at the tomato prices, now you will cultivate tomatoes. Okay, you will cultivate a lot of tomatoes. Suddenly, the price of tomato will fall down from 120 rupees to, let's say, 10 rupees per kg. Does it happen? Of course, yes. In case of India, this is very common. Very, very common. In couple of months, you will see tomatoes being sold at 5 rupees per kg. In some of the months, you will see tomatoes being sold at 100 rupees, 80 rupees per kg. Now, you tell me, you have cultivated tomato, price of the tomato will fall down to 10 rupees per kg. Can you store them so that you want to sell it after 1 year? Let me know. Can you keep them in storage so that you can wait for 6 months and sell it after 6 months? That option is not available. Why? The shelf life simply means expiry date, right? The shelf life of these kind of products is very, very short. Whatever the price is, you will have to sell it in the market. That's the reason, right? Not today, but couple of months ago, you must have seen tomato prices had fallen down to 2 rupees per kg. Check it online if you don't trust me. Tomato prices had fallen down to 3 rupees per kg. What did the farmer do? Nothing. They put it on the road and kept quiet. That's it. So whenever the shelf life of the product is very, very short, irrespective of the market prices, you don't have any option, but you will have to sell it in the market. Whatever could be the price, you will have to start selling it in the market. Very rare articles such as paintings as well as coins. Do you think the prices of the paintings, prices of the coins, right? Let's say coins which were minted during let's say Vijayanagara Empire, coins which were minted during Mughal Empire, etc. The price of those today will be dependent on supply and demand. Do you think that is applicable to very rare paintings, right? Old coins, etc. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. It's not dependent on law of demand and supply. These are very, very rare. Prices will always be very, very high, right? What about the future expectations? What do you mean by future expectations here? What is the expected movement of pricing in the market? What is the expected behavior in the future in the market? For example, right? Don't you think in some of your houses, people or let's say your parents have purchased more than required tomatoes, fearing more rise in the prices? If you have observed, please tell me, right? Your parents or let's say your father would have gone to the market, purchased more than required, right? Generally, let's say you would require 1 kg of tomato a month or let's say a week. What they will do is they have looked at the prices. They know that prices are 120 rupees today. Last week it was 100 rupees. Now the fear is that from 100 it has become 120. From 120 it can become, let's say, 130 rupees, right? Because that is a fear that is basically expected to happen in the coming days. Now what will you do? Will you purchase the same quantity now or will you purchase more of it? You will purchase more and more of it because you are worried about future movement of the prices. That is future expectations. Though the price of the tomato is higher, you'll purchase more of a tomato. Why? You are concerned that after 1 week, price could be much, much higher. Right? So these are some of the exceptions related to the concept of law of demand as well as law of supply. Any difficulty in any one of these factors? Please do let me know. Does all the factors responsible for the price determination of a good? What do you mean by that? Are you referring to the earlier slide or this slide? Please do tell me now. How can we apply this for law of supply 1 to 3 point? My dear, these are exceptions. Don't apply. That's what I'm saying. Do not apply all the, let's say, law of demand and law of supply every time. There are certain exceptions to the law of demand as well as law of supply. That's what I'm trying to tell you. What is the impact on the budget? Right? Let's say you're earning 1,000 rupees. Right? Just say hypothetically, you are earning 1,000 rupees. Prices of tomato will further increase. Don't you think Because you're earning 1000 rupee, you have a limited amount of money to spend to purchase vegetables. So rising price of tomatoes, will it have an impact on your budget? Yes. But to what extent? If the prices will rise from 20 rupees to 22 rupees, or let's say price will increase from 20 rupees to 21 rupees, right? Will you reduce the demand? Of course, no. There's a term called a jugaad. I hope you know. And if you don't trust me, talk to your parents, you will understand it. If price of the tomato increase from 20 to 21, they will not be concerned. But are they spending 1 rupee extra? Yes. But if the price will increase from 21 rupees to 50 rupees, 50 rupees to 100 rupees, don't you think the impact on the expenditure will be much higher? And because the impact is much higher, automatically they will change the demand for the good. Okay. Okay. Anything else? How the equilibrium prices are determined, that will happen based on the type of economy. I hope you understand there are different types of economies. That's the reason I'm not entering into the details of microeconomics. There is a monopoly, there is a oligopoly, there is a perfect competition, etc., etc. There are different situations wherein how do we arrive at pricing will change. That's a reason don't enter into all of it. Okay, anything else? Sir, here demand and supply depends on the price. What if it is vice versa? That is, price depends on them. What do you mean by price depends on them? You mean to say that price is a dependent factor and something else an independent factor? That can also happen, but law of demand, law of supply will not hold true. That is basically you're asking me, sir, what if something else changes and as a result of that price changes? That can happen in the market, but that cannot be the argument for law of demand. For example, let's say the demand goes down. Please tell me now, if the demand goes down, what will happen to prices? I'm asking a question now. Answer this. What if demand goes down? What will happen to prices? Do you think prices will go up? No, prices will also go down. Some of you saying prices will increase. This is where you need to think, my dear. This is where apply common sense. If demand goes down, prices will not go up because you are applying law of demand. Law of demand says what? If the prices will change, that will lead to change in the demand. Yes or no? This is exactly what I've explained. The price should change first, and as a result of that, demand will change. Am I asking the same thing here? No. I am saying if the demand changes, what will happen to the price? In this example that I'm giving here, demand is an independent factor and price is a dependent factor. If the demand goes down, prices should automatically go down. Do not apply law of demand here. You are wrong, because law of demand says price changes, as a result of that demand changes. I'm not using that. I'm saying demand changes, as a result of that what will happen to price. Is the logic okay with all of you? So the two exception, future expectations and goods which are shorter life, is totally opposite to each other. Yeah, it could be. What is the problem? Let them be opposite, let them in the same direction, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Goods with a shorter lifespan, I'm talking from the supply side. And future expectations, I'm talking from the consumption side. Doesn't matter. Okay, anything else? Any other questions you people have? By the way, I've even activated, or I've started allow live call. If anybody has a problem, anybody has a concern or a doubt regarding what I'm discussing, please do let me know. Okay. Anything else? Nobody wants to ask a question? Yeah, Vishal, go ahead. अरे, Sanchit, Sanchit, अरे, hello, why? What is happening? Why nobody is? I'm. What is happening? Okay, I'm making a call. I'm accepting. Nothing is happening. Why? Hello?
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Tell me.
Sir, if price is high, then automatically supply is also high due to profit. But
Hmm.
after high increase of supply, then demand is also
Hmm.
low, no, sir.
That's what. If you look at, let me know. Are you able to see this picture now?
Yes, sir.
Market equilibrium. Okay. So in the market equilibrium, what is happening? If the price is higher, I as a seller, I would automatically want to make more profit. So what I'll do is I'll increase the supply.
Oh,
But in the market, as per law of demand, what will happen? As per law of demand, the demand should go down,
yes. Then automatically supply will
right?
also go down.
That will happen on a longer duration.
Okay.
Now, what will happen? You have supplied it. There is a competition between the sellers. And when there's a competition between the sellers, what will happen to the pricing? Pricing
Good.
automatically should go down. And when the pricing will go down, what will happen to supply?
Supply.
Supply automatically will go down.
Okay,
Yes?
sir. Understood. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else wants to make a call? Do let me know. Gaurav.
Hello,
Yeah, hi Gaurav.
hello.
Tell me.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Gaurav.
Sir,
Tell me.
sir, my question is that why you not considered China as a socialist economy?
Okay, so if you talk about China, post 1985, they followed a policy called as limited open door policy. So in China, it is not just the government which will decide what to be produced, etc., etc. Even the private sector is present in China. That's a precise raise I said. Earlier, there were many countries which were very close to the which followed the model of socialism. But do we have any country which is a true socialistic country today? No, we do not have those countries as of now.
Sir, my second question is that USA follow capitalism, but
Okay.
there is very less poverty.
Hmm.
Why?
Who said there is very less poverty? Please understand, first and foremost, you must understand how do we define poverty. Again, I don't want to enter into the idea of, let's say, the concept of poverty will be discussed in social classes. But, anyways, how do you define poverty? In case of India, we define poverty based on very, very low level threshold, that is a poverty line, threshold expenditure. But in other countries, the poverty is defined based on the quality of life, whether you have a car, whether you have a AC, whether you have a TV, etc., etc. What is your per capita income? Are you falling in the 40% poverty line, like this? So the definition of poverty will keep on changing from one country to another country. Anyways, I would have discussed this when I take up the inclusive growth chapter. It doesn't mean that in USA there is no poverty. Even in case of USA, there is a huge number which can be classified as poor. But the kind of assistance that they get is different from the kind of assistance that poor people in India get. And moreover, if you look at the population of USA, population of USA is just much lesser compared to India's poverty. India's poverty is around 1.4 billion, and US's India's population is 1.4 billion, whereas USA's population somewhere around zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.4 billion. So huge difference between both of us. Okay.
Sir, my again next question is that capitalism provides a lot of employment. Then
Hmm.
why we not promote it
Capitalism.
provide us a lot of employment?
Okay. Huh. But
Then
please
why?
understand, because of capitalism, there is a wealth inequality as well as income inequality. In case of India, already the concern is the income inequality is very high. Wealth inequality is also very high. I'll give a very simple data point for you. As per wealth inequality report, around 18% of the total income generated in India actually go to female workforce. Around 82% goes to male workforce. Around 21% of the total income generated goes to the top 1% population, and around 13% goes to the lowest 50% of the population. So in this situation, if you promote capitalism, automatically this inequality which is already existing, which is very high, which is a problem for us, will become much more acute. Right? Would you
Okay,
want to do that, let's say, to a country such as India, where the poverty population is very high?
okay, sir.
Done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? If not, we'll take a break then.
Hello,
Hello?
sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please. Soumya, tell me.
Yeah, sir, I wanted to ask. We have seen in socialism, because everything is owned by government, socialist economy, the efficiency is low. But I want to know, sir, like in PSU and all, they generally conduct an exam, so they take really capable people, and still efficiency is not there. So why is that?
The reason is simple. When you have, let's say, a steel manufacture unit owned by government of India, and if you follow complete socialism, you do not have any competition for this company. I'm saying the company does not have any competitor. And because the company does not have any competitor, automatically there is no competition, means there is a question of having more productivity, having more efficiency, or investing more in research and development. Because of absence of competition, the PSUs will generally suffer.
But sir, for example, in India, BSNL is there and other telecom companies are there. Competition is there, but still the efficiency is low in BSNL.
Because BSNL is basically an outcome of the industrialization policy that we followed past. For example, when we discuss industrial policies later, you will come across an industrial policy of 1956. In the industrial policy of 1956, most of the sectors wherein earlier private sector was allowed, government of India simply said we will not allow private sector. All of them will come, we'll nationalize them. And as a result of that, over a period of time, many of these PSUs have suffered, because again, argument is simple. If there is no competition and everybody is a government employee, do you think they will focus on efficiency? They'll not focus on efficiency. They'll know that it's a government job. There is no competition, right? Resources are being provided by the government, etc. That is going to have an impact. And again, I'm not saying that every PSU does it. That will be a wrong information. I'm saying some of the PSUs have suffered because of this, and the prime examples for them are there right in front of you. BSNL. Wow, at one point of time, it was the only company, again, apart from another company owned by government of India itself. But today, what is the market share of BSNL?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, sir, got it. And one last thing, sir. Terms such as ceteris paribus, that do we need to remember that exact term, or if we remember the meaning, that if all stays same, that is okay?
Even if you remember the meaning, that's more than sufficient.
Okay. Thank you
Uh,
so much.
if you read NCIT book, the ceteris paribus term is used in NCIT book. That's the reason I've given it. Okay, done. Okay, done then. Let's take a break. Let's take a break. We'll have a discussion. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll have a discussion. Let's take a break now. After the break, we'll take up again. We'll continue the discussion again. Take a lunch break. I'll restart the session at 2:30. It is almost 1:30 now. I'll restart the session at 2:30. Please join back again at 2:30 p.m. Okay, let's meet at 2:30 p.m. again.